Chapter 1052. Don't kill it. Chu-hen it is. Qiao Shaowan, boom. Han Ichuan's voice exploded in Chu-hen's mind like a clap of thunder. What? Chu-hen's face was full of astonishment and disbelief. He looked at the ferocious, steel-armored behemoth in front of him, and then looked at the anxious Han Ichuan. His head was full of question marks. What are you talking about? It is Qiao Shaowan. I don't know how things turned out like this, but it is that violent wild girl, Han Ichuan said incoherently. Chu-hen felt that his worldview was about to collapse. To be honest, he would rather believe that the man in front of him was not Han Ichuan than believe that this monster was Qiao Shaowan. Without much time to explain, the behemoth waved its giant scythe-like pincers toward Chu-hen. The biting cold airflow was like a flying wind blade, sharp and fierce. Chu-hen's eyes narrowed, and the blue sky sword in his hand swept out. A crescent-shaped thunder and lightning sword light slashed out diagonally and hit the huge pincers of the opponent. Bang! Sword chi splashed, and waves of air stacked up. The enraged behemoth directly shattered Chu-hen's sword chi with its pincers, and then a violent force surged down. Chu-hen dodged, leaving an afterimage on the spot, and his body flashed to the area above the behemoth in an instant. This thing is really Qiao Shaowan? Chu-hen still couldn't believe it. Absolutely. Han Ichuan frowned and hurriedly explained, I don't need to joke with you, otherwise I wouldn't let her chase me until I was exhausted and didn't escape. I understand. A wisp of a fierce light flashed in Chu-hen's eyes as he immediately withdrew the blue sky sword, and then a dazzling and resplendent starlight erupted from the center of his palm. He leaped up and swooped down. A powerful palm strike that was as vast as a mountain descended from the sky. Rumble, a huge palm print that looked like the hand of a Buddha pressed down on the back of the shelled behemoth. Boom! As if it was carrying a heavy mountain on its back, the shelled giant beast trembled and was directly pressed to the ground. The majestic and mighty chi waves swept across the ground. Dust flew everywhere, and rocks and plants were blown away. Fekta chain, Chu-hen gave a loud shout, and a dazzling silver light blossomed from his body. Next, 7 glittering iron chains shot out from Chu-hen's body like an infinitely long pair of wings. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The 7-star chains wrapped around the shelled giant beast like an incomparably huge steel claw, firmly locking it in place. Woo! The shelled giant beast struggled violently, and its 8 pincers waved madly. Deep cracks appeared on the ground one after another. The 7-star chains tightened continuously. Chu-hen frowned slightly. He could sense how violent and shocking his opponent's power was. Accompanied by a sharp howl, a layer of dim golden light suddenly appeared on the shelled giant beast's body. At the same time, many strange dark red patterns appeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Shocking power emerged continuously. The 7-star chains released by Chu-hen were once again tightened to the extreme. Moreover, tiny cracks appeared on the iron chains. What a powerful force! Chu-hen was secretly shocked. Seeing this, Han Ichuan became even more anxious, and he shouted loudly, Qiao Shaowan, wake up! Wake up! As soon as he finished speaking, the shelled giant beast's body paused for a moment. Chu-hen immediately seized the opportunity. His eyes narrowed slightly, and purple light surged in his deep pupils in an instant. The bloodline power from the demon sacred body directly suppressed it. A steady stream of divine power flowed along the 7-star chains towards the shelled giant beast. The violent aura of the shelled giant beast that was wrapped in purple light quietly weakened. Then, under the dazzling light, the other party's mountain-like body shrank rapidly. The 7-star chains suddenly lost their support and became loose. Chu-hen's figure flashed, and he swept to the side of the dazzling light. He stretched out his arms, and the light that had turned into a human figure caught in his hands. Chu-hen landed firmly on the ground, and the faint light gradually faded. A quiet and cute girl's aura gently leaned on Chu-hen's arms. Han Ichuan also hurriedly ran over, and he could not help but feel relieved when he saw Qiao Shaowan curled up in Chu Hen's arms. "You've finally changed back." At the same time, Qiao Shaowan opened her sleepy eyes, and her clear eyes were filled with a trace of confusion. "Chu Hen? You guys? What's wrong with me? Why do I feel so tired?" Chu Hen's expression was slightly complicated. He first gently placed the other party on a flat rock and then asked, "I also want to know what's going on with you." "I don't know," Qiao Shaowan replied weakly. "Ever since I came to this place, I've felt very uncomfortable." Chu Hen and Han Ichuan looked at each other, but they were even more puzzled. The Tomb of Immortals and Demons was indeed a very strange place. The evil Yin energy was extremely strong. Ordinary people would indeed feel repulsed by this place. But what happened to Qiao Shaowan could no longer be looked at with the eyes of ordinary people. "You're not human?" After a short moment of silence, Chu Hen asked. Qiao Shaowan's hands unconsciously clenched, and her little face was tense, as if someone had touched the most sensitive chord in her heart. Chu Hen's frown deepened. He could not see through the other party. He had originally thought that she was merely the personal disciple of the Thousand World sect leader, Qiao Yong. It seemed like things were not that simple. Han Ichuan, who was standing to the side, seemed to know something. He said in a low voice, "Since things have come to this, you should tell Chu Hen." Qiao Shaowan wanted to say something, but stopped. She looked at Chu Hen apologetically and said, "The reason why I left Victorious East State with you this time was to find out my true identity." "True identity?" A light flashed across Chu Hen's eyes. "Weren't you born in the Eastern continent?" Qiao Shaowan shook her head. "I heard from the old man that when I was very young, one of his friends sent me to the Thousand World sect. Later on, I went to look for that friend, but he had already left the Eastern continent. Ever since I was a few years old, the old man realized that I was different from ordinary people. I would often lose control of my emotions. But I really don't know what happened just now." After listening to the other party's explanation, Chu Hen's frown eased slightly. He did not expect that this girl in front of him was already in her 20s. But on the surface, she only looked 12 or 13. Originally, he had thought that it was just because of her looks or because of her young age. He did not expect there to be an unexpected reason behind it. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have hidden it from you." At this moment, Qiao Shaowan was no longer as domineering and delicate as before. Perhaps it was because she was weak, but she felt a little apologetic in her heart. Chu Hen shook his head and smiled. "It's no big deal. Everyone has their own secret. Once we find Mengshang, we'll help you find out your own identity." Qiao Shaowan's eyes lit up. "Really?" Chu Hen smiled. "What else can I do? Let you turn into a monster and wreak havoc as you please?" Qiao Shaowan pursed her lips and smiled. "I suddenly feel that you're very warm. No wonder little Yao would keep saying Big Brother Chu Hen to the left and Big Brother Chu Hen to the right." Chu Hen rolled his eyes at her, then asked, "Where are the others?" "We got separated," Han Ichuan replied with a slightly serious expression. "Separated?" "Yes, the Tomb of Immortals and Demons is really too chaotic. When we arrived here a few days ago, there were already dozens of battles. 3 days ago, a large-scale battle broke out near the center of the Tomb of Immortals and Demons. Because the situation was too chaotic, we got separated in the process of evading." "Oh!" Chu Hen's eyes darkened. "What kind of battle?" "I'm not sure about the specifics, but in any case, there were many powerful human experts and many terrifyingly powerful demonic beasts." Han Ichuan's words were very vague, and it was clear that he also felt that it was strange. Chu Hen was even more confused. "Then, have you found any traces of Mengshang?" Even though he had already guessed the answer, Chu Hen still asked this question. Naturally, the answer he received was Han Ichuan shaking his head. "The road to happiness is strewn with setbacks. I'm sure we'll find her," Han Ichuan said. Chu Hen nodded and did not say anything else. Just as the three of them were about to rest for a while before deciding to leave, dozens of powerful auras were quickly approaching them. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan's hearts skipped a beat, and they immediately became alert. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the next moment, dozens of shadows flew across the sky and landed on a slope in front of the three of them. Senior Song Hao, it looks like the battle is over. The one who spoke was a young lady dressed in red. But why don't we see the demonic beast's corpse? Another young man asked in a low voice. It was obvious that these people were alerted by the commotion earlier and came here after hearing the noise. These people were all dressed in bright and beautiful clothes, and they were in high spirits. Even the disciples of the Thousand Worlds sect and the Nine Heaven Pavilion from the victorious East State could not compare to these people. Who are you? At this moment, a young man dressed in green looked at Chu Hen and the other two calmly. Ancient Eternal Realm. Chu Hen was slightly shocked. This young man was emitting a powerful aura that far surpassed the profound sky realm. It would not be strange if he was a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. But he looked so young, which meant that these people were not ordinary people. I'm talking to you, didn't you hear me? The man's tone was cold, arrogant, and slightly angry. Friends, we're just passing by. Han Ichuan stepped forward and said, friends? The lady dressed in red who spoke before laughed in disdain. You think you have the right. You? Han Ichuan was a little unhappy. He was just being polite, but he was being mocked. Chu Hen extended his hand and replied, We're here to find someone. If there's nothing else, we'll leave now. As he finished speaking, Chu Hen turned around to help the weak Xiao Shaowan up and gestured for Han Ichuan to leave. Wait, I didn't say you could leave. The leading man's voice followed closely. Chu Hen turned around. Do you have any other orders? There was a demonic beast here just now. Why did it disappear when we arrived? I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. Chapter 1053. I can't help but suspect that the three of you are demonic beasts in disguise. In an instant, the leader's eyes flashed coldly, and an incomparably strong and sharp aura was released. An invisible pressure surged towards Chu Hen and the others like a sharp sword. Ancient Eternal Realm? Han Ichuan and Xiao Shaowan's expressions changed, and their eyes couldn't help but reveal a solemn expression. They didn't expect that this young man, who was not much older than them, had actually reached the ancient Eternal Realm. Where did these people come from? Where did they come from? Chu Hen's expression didn't change much. After all, he had already seen through the other party's strength. He replied in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing, I think you've misunderstood. We're only passing by for personal matters. To say that you're demonic beasts in disguise is even more ridiculous. I think you're all genius disciples of great sects, so you wouldn't go so far as to bully ordinary people like us, right? As soon as these words came out, the few of them were stunned at first, and then they all sneered disdainfully. Senior Brother Song Hao, this person has some sense. Why don't we just let them go? The woman in red who had spoken just now said. The leader's eyes narrowed slightly, and he stared at Chu Hen's calm face, as if he was trying to see through him. Chu Hen's eyes were calm as a clear lake in the forest. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a dozen or so people rushed towards them with the sound of rushing wind. Ha 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 ha, isn't this Senior Brother Song Hao from the Heaven Condensing Pavilion? Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. A hearty and loud laughter followed. Song Hao and the others' eyes narrowed, and one of the young men said in a low voice, It's the Han Yun sect. They were both high-spirited and talented young men. Their extraordinary temperament was far superior to ordinary people, like the stars shining brightly. The leader was tall and slender, wearing a gorgeous robe with a white cloud pattern, and the domineering aura he exuded was no less than Song Hao's. Another ancient, eternal realm expert. Xiao Shaowan and Han Ichuan were secretly shocked, and they looked at Chu Hen uneasily. But seeing that the other party wasn't too worried, they relaxed a little. Song Hao's sharp eyes swept directly towards the young man wearing the white cloud pattern. When their gazes met, it was like invisible arrows colliding. His throat moved slightly as he coldly spat out two words, Wu Xiao, ha 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 ha. The man called Wu Xiao laughed heartily. It's rare that senior brother Song Hao still remembers me. I'm truly honored, as Wu Xiao spoke. A pleasantly surprised voice suddenly sounded from behind him. Brother Chu-hen, why are you here? This voice? Was it Jing Shu? Chu-hen's heart lit up. The others in the room were also startled. Sure enough, a familiar figure hurriedly walked out, a gentle smile on his face. It was none other than the young pattern artist he had met in Whale Island City, Jing Shu, brother Jing. Chu-hen nodded slightly. Jing Shu excitedly stepped forward and grasped Chu-hen's wrist, clearly very happy. Haha, brother Chu-hen, when we parted ways in Whale Island City, you left in such a hurry that I didn't even have the chance to say goodbye. I originally thought that I would never have the chance to meet again. Who would have thought that we would meet again here today? It was obvious that Jing Shu was especially happy. The other party's reaction made Chu-hen feel somewhat apologetic. After the incident in Whale Island City, they had left too quickly, and hadn't taken care of this friend they had made along the way. He hadn't expected to meet again here. Are these people from your Han Yun sect? Song Hao asked indifferently. Wu Xiao raised his gaze slightly, and glanced at Chu-hen and the other two lazily. Hee, so what if they are? So what if they aren't? If they aren't, then it's easy. I was just suspecting that they are demonic beast spies in disguise. Spies? Without waiting for the Han Yun sect's reply, Jing Shu hurriedly explained, Senior brothers, brother Chu-hen is definitely not a spy. We participated in the Heavenly Talisman battle together in Whale Island City. Senior sister Su and senior brother Zhua can prove this. Senior sister Su? Senior brother Zhua? Chu-hen was startled again. He followed Jing Shu's gaze, and saw two familiar figures, Su Lingzu and Zhua Yuan. Chu-hen had a deep impression of Su Lingzu. During the Heavenly Talisman battle, she had used the Heaven Reversal Pill inscription to refine the supreme heaven-rank spirit herb, the Golden Jade Immortal Nectar, and shocked everyone. Although Su Lingzu had lost to the 100-piercing saint sword forged by the young master of Whale Island City, Qi Juexin, if Qi Juexin had not integrated the bloodline power of the giant whale saint physique into his runes, he wouldn't have been able to defeat Su Lingzu. In comparison, Su Lingzu was superior in terms of mastery of runes. As for Zhua Yuan, Chu-hen had only met him once. Moreover, he didn't have a good impression of him. In Chu-hen's eyes, he was merely an arrogant young master who surrounded Su Lingzu every day. Su Lingzu raised her beautiful eyes and looked deeply at Chu-hen. Then, she stepped forward and said, Senior brother Wu Xiao, I have indeed met this young Master Chu in Whale Island City. I don't think he's a demon beast in disguise. Although he's not a demon beast, he's not a good person either. Zhua Yuan mocked coldly from the side. Even though there was no direct enmity between them, Zhua Yuan had always been prejudiced against Chu-hen. Jing Shu hurriedly smoothed things over with a smile. Since the misunderstanding has been resolved, there's nothing else to worry about. Song Hao had no reason to continue to harp on Chu-hen. He looked at Wu Xiao and said, The changes in the Tomb of Immortals and Devils this time don't seem to be caused by ordinary demon beasts. Your Han Yun sect should be careful. Thank you for the reminder, Senior brother Song Hao. The same goes for all of you, Wu Xiao replied with a chuckle. Song Hao smiled coldly and ignored him. Then, he waved his hand and led everyone away. Brother Chu-hen, why are you here? Jing Shu couldn't wait to ask. We have some private matters to discuss, Chu-hen said with a smile. Private matters? Jing Shu was stunned. How could it be so coincidental? The Tomb of Immortals and Devils has been very unstable recently. It'll be very dangerous for you to barge in at will. Why don't you come with us? As soon as Jing Shu finished speaking, A disdainful snort came from the Han Yun Sek's group. Don't forget who you are. The one who spoke was a young man in light clothes. His face was cold and arrogant. The rest of the group wore similar expressions. It was obvious that Jing Shu had no right to speak. Jing Shu's expression changed slightly. He smiled awkwardly and turned to Wu Xiu respectfully. Senior brother Wu Xiu, the situation in the Tomb of Immortals and Devils is very unstable now. We need people. Brother Chu Hen is extremely skilled. He'll definitely be of great help to us. I hope senior brother can help us. Chu Hen felt a little helpless. To be honest, he didn't want to follow these people. He didn't expect Jing Shu to say such things. But when he thought that the other party had good intentions, he felt relieved for the time being. He's indeed skilled. Otherwise, the Whale Island City Lord wouldn't have died at his hands. Zhui Yuan smiled coldly. What? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding air waves trembled. Everyone's eyes turned cold. Song Hao and the others from the Firmament Gathering Pavilion, who hadn't gone far, also stopped in their tracks. One after another, they turned to look at Chu Hen with a deep look. The news of the chaos in Whale Island City had already caused a stir in the surrounding areas. Even the people in the Midland had heard about it. The City Lord and the young City Lord had been killed at the scene of the Heavenly Talisman battle. The murderer's methods were so ruthless that it made countless people tremble in fear. But what was unexpected was that the murderer was the person in front of them. After a brief moment of shock, the cold light in Wu Xiu's eyes disappeared. Chapter 1054. The dense forest was dark and gloomy, and the lush trees were like monsters that had gathered together, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. The surrounding atmosphere was very quiet. Their feet stepped on the damp ground, leaving shallow footprints. There wasn't much communication, and everyone seemed to have a tacit understanding, not saying a word. Chu Hen didn't like this kind of atmosphere. If Jing Shu hadn't spoken up earlier, Chu Hen wouldn't have wanted to follow the Han Yun Sek's team. Brother Chu Hen, when did you get here? Jing Shu, who was walking in the front, quietly slowed down, then retreated to Chu Hen's side, and started talking with him in a low voice. Not long ago, Chu Hen answered. Where are the others? Aren't they together? Back in Whale Island City, Jing Shu knew everyone, including Chu Hen. There were Shifeng Zi Yiyao, Long Xuan, Mu Feng, Haozi, Han Ichuan, and Qiao Shaowan. Right now, only Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan were with him. Chu Hen shook his head seriously. I'm not sure yet. If they're in the Tomb of Immortals and Devils, it'll be a bit troublesome. Recently, it's been too chaotic. But they're lucky and they'll be fine, Jing Shu said. Why are you here? Han Ichuan asked back. Jing Shu raised his head, nodded, and pointed at the Han Yun Sek's team walking in the front. As you can see, because the Tomb of Immortals and Devils isn't peaceful, it's attracted the attention of many big powers in the Midland. Miss Su Lingzhu, Zhui Yuan, and I are all inner disciples of the Han Yun Sek. Of course, the two of them are official disciples. The difference between official disciples and inner disciples didn't need to be explained, and all three of them understood. In other words, Jing Shu could be kicked out of the sect at any time. Because they were inner disciples, and because Zhongyuan Castle was relatively close to the Tomb of Immortals and Devils, the three of them were also summoned by the Han Yun sect. Chu Hen squinted his eyes, looking at the young and vigorous men and women in front of him. He knew that the Han Yun sect was not a normal place. Jing Shu was a heavenly pattern master after all, and he was quite good at spell symbols. Although he was stopped in the second round of the heavenly pattern battle, he wasn't weak at all. Even at this level, there was still the risk of being kicked out by the Han Yun sect at any time. It really made one's heart palpitate. It's said that the situation in the Midland is extremely complicated. Tens of millions of different-sized forces and clans exist in the Midland, some of which have existed for tens of thousands of years, and can even rival the top-level holy clans, said Han Ichuan in a low voice. Su and Xiao Shaowan nodded. But Chu Hen was surprised. Sects that are as powerful as the Holy Clan? Yes, that's not an exaggeration. The Han Yun sect is powerful enough, Jing Shu said with a hint of respect. Chu Hen sighed when he heard this. He glanced at Wu Xiu, who was walking at the front of the group. He shook his head. No wonder they could raise Eternal Realm disciples. This Han Yun sect was really powerful. The Midland has thousands of races, and the sects they have are as many talented and powerful as the stars in the sky. Apart from the sects that have been around for a long time, some of them are actually supported by the Holy Clan. Therefore, these martial arts holy lands have very strict requirements for selecting their inner disciples. Jing Shu gave a brief explanation. Chu Hen's view of the world was raised to another level. Now, it seemed that the victorious East Prefecture was a bit too small. Sects that could rival the Holy Clan, including the Thousand Worlds sect, the Palace of Jihua, and the Thunder Saint Palace, were not worth mentioning. After being shocked, Chu Hen could not help but be curious. What had happened in the tomb of immortals and devils for such a powerful force to send people to search for them? Suddenly, Wu Xiu, who was walking at the very front, stopped his footstep. He turned around, looked at Chu Hen, and said, I wonder if Mr. Chu Hen has any intentions of joining my Hanyun school? Wow! This sudden statement instantly stirred up great waves in the hearts of everyone present. Su Lingzhu and Zhuo Yuehan were surprised. Jing Shu's eyes lit up, and he looked at Wu Xiu expectantly. With Wu Xiu's position in the Han Yun sect, he definitely had the power to decide whether a disciple could join the sect. But most importantly, this was an invitation from the Han Yun sect. It was an honor that countless young people dreamed of. However, Chu Hen courteously smiled and said, I appreciate your good intentions, but I still have important matters to attend to. Currently, I don't have any plans to join any faction. Rejected. Chu Hen had actually rejected Wu Xiu's invitation. Everyone was once again greatly surprised. You're not willing? Wu Xiu's tone carried a hint of mockery. Chu Hen's gaze shifted. I'm very sorry. Zhuo Yuehan and the rest of the Han Yun sect couldn't help but sneer. In their eyes, Chu Hen was no different from a fool. Even Jing Shu couldn't help but clap his hands and shake his head in pity. A complicated look flashed through Su Lingzhu's eyes. Just like what she'd seen in Whale Island City, this was indeed an unexpected man. Wu Xiu wasn't angry. He smiled faintly. That's really a pity. If a young genius with the heart of the mysterious Killer Lightning had joined my Han Yun sect, he would definitely be valued. The heart of the mysterious Killer Lightning. There was an undetectable depth to the words. Chu Hen's gaze turned cold, and a hint of wariness appeared on his face. Wu Xiu was still smiling. His smile was a little warm, a little dazzling. The silent forest was filled with an indescribable tension. Boom! At this moment, a heavy sound came from the depths of the mountain range. The ground beneath everyone's feet shook uneasily. The mountains shook, and the birds and beasts in the forest fled in alarm. Roar! Roar! The loud roar of the beasts came from the depths of the mountain range, pounding on everyone's heartstrings. Everyone was alarmed. A Han Yun sect disciple frowned and said, Those beasts are starting to cause trouble again. Everyone looked at Wu Xiu. Wu Xiu smirked and looked at Chu Hen playfully. Hee, you've missed your chance, but there won't be a second time. Good luck with that. Wu Xiu's body moved. He turned into a ray of light and leaped into the sky. The rest of the people followed him without hesitation. Heh! Zhuo Yuehan laughed coldly and disappeared on the spot. Jing Shu finally came to his senses. He apologized to Chu Hen. I'm sorry, brother Chu Hen. I shouldn't have dragged you into this. It's not your fault. There were more than one or two people who wanted the heart of the mysterious Killer Lightning. With Zhuo Yuehan around, his identity would be discovered by the Han Yun sect sooner or later. Let's go and take a look, Chu Hen said. Jing Shu was stunned. But, I'm here to find someone. I can't let go of any possibility. Let's go. Immediately, Chu Hen and the others quickly followed the footsteps of the Han Yun Sek's group and flashed towards the direction of the commotion. The sky above the tomb of immortals and devils was shrouded in a dark red mist. The mountains and rivers changed color and the wind blew. In the area in front of them, the sky was shaking, and the surroundings were in chaos. The dark sky seemed to be filled with countless crows, dust filled the sky, and the demonic aura filled the sky. Boundless killing intent surged towards him like a tidal wave. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The people from Han Yun clan in front of them were like shooting stars that sliced through the sky. Then, they landed on the top of a steep mountain. At the same time, a steady stream of human experts came from other directions. Chapter 1055. Rumble, demonic chi soared into the sky, shaking the firmament. Endless murderous chi surged out from the depths of the tomb of immortals and devils like a tsunami. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Numerous figures with extraordinary auras rushed over like shooting stars streaking across the sky. A tense and intense atmosphere filled the sky and the earth, filling the entire world. What's going on? Chu Hen led Han Ichuan, while Qiao Shaowan and Jing Shu followed closely behind the group of young experts from the Han Yun sect. They all looked perplexed and solemn. Jing Shu shook his head and said, I don't know the specifics. Anyway, there have been many demonic beasts causing trouble in the tomb of immortals and devils. In front of them, Wu Xiu and the other members of the Han Yun sect landed on a steep mountain. Chu Hen and the rest landed on the other side of the mountain. Humph! Zhui Yuan turned around and sneered. His eyes were filled with disdain. Chu Hen ignored them and looked at the vast land in front of him. Rumble, in an instant, what appeared in front of everyone could be said to be a vast and majestic scene. In the vast canyon, there were countless ferocious demonic beasts. The epic scene impacted Chu Hen's vision. The ground, the sky, all kinds of beasts roared at the sky, making shrill noises. What is this? Han Ichuan frowned. There are at least hundreds of thousands of demonic beasts. The sky was dark and the ground was shaking. Such a terrifying beast tide sent chills down everyone's spine. Senior Wu Xiu, the number of these beasts has increased by several times. Something big is going to happen. A disciple from the Han Yun sect said in a serious tone. Wu Xiu was quite calm. Hee, the sect wouldn't have sent us here if it was just a trivial matter. I'm looking forward to seeing what these beasts can do. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, another group flashed to the southern cliff. Hee, senior brother Wu Xiu, you guys are quite early. There was a hint of frivolity in the arrogant laughter. The person who came was none other than the young genius of Heaven Condensing Pavilion. Song Hao. Wu Xiu lazily glanced at him and replied faintly, Just arrived. It seems like quite a few forces have arrived. Song Hao glanced at the human experts who had arrived one after another with great interest. When the human experts arrived, they were the first to look over in awe. That's the team from the Han Yun sect and Qi Shao Pavilion. I'm relieved that they're here. Even the Han Yun sect and the Firmament Gathering Pavilion are here. Something big must have happened in the Immortal and Devil tomb. Roar! Roar! Without waiting for everyone to stabilize their footing, the vast and terrifying horde of beasts in front of them launched a fierce attack. The black swarm of beasts came roaring over with the momentum of toppling mountains and overturning seas. The dense evil aura was like a raging tsunami. Kill! Evil creature, don't be presumptuous. The human experts were not to be outdone. One after another, they unleashed their powerful true inner strength to counter the attack. Although the human experts were obviously at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, there were almost no weaklings among those who participated in the operation in the Immortal and Devil tomb. One by one, sharp swords were unsheathed, gleaming with cold light. Spears and halberds were like dragons that could overturn rivers and seas. A series of dazzling and sharp martial arts skills intertwined like colorful divine rays. The bodies of the giant demonic beasts were split apart, blood and flesh split open, and red rain swirled in the air. The battle was cruel, especially the battle between humans and demonic beasts. There was almost no room for negotiation. For humans, the immortal and devil tomb was a special territory that could not allow demonic beasts to run amok. Coo coo! Kiki! A swarm of blood-colored bats with sharp claws descended from the sky and pounced on the human experts. Several human experts were caught off guard by this sudden disturbance. The ferocious demonic beasts seized the opportunity to attack, clawing and tearing them to pieces. The screams and the roars of the demonic beasts interweaved into a heroic dirge. Wu Xiu's eyes darkened. Then, he raised one hand slightly and made a move gesture. In an instant, the young disciples of the Han Yun sect charged into the crowd of demonic beasts and began to kill them. Go and help. Song Hao from the Qixiao Pavilion immediately gave the order. Yes. The geniuses did not back down. One by one, they took out their weapons and summoned their sacred armors. They charged into the battle like heavenly soldiers and generals. Brother Chu-hen, I have to go and help as well, Jing Shu said seriously. Forget it. You will die easily, Qiao Shaowan said. Jing Shu shook his head with a bitter smile. My performance in this mission will determine whether or not I can become an official disciple of the Han Yun sect. If I stand aside and watch, I will not be able to satisfy Brother Wu Xiu. It was obvious that Jing Shu had high hopes for the Han Yun sect. Otherwise, he would not have participated in such a dangerous mission. Chu-hen did not say anything else. He nodded and said, Be careful. I will. After saying that, Jing Shu raised his 10 fingers. A pure Reiki energy was released from his Naiwan palace. Surrounded by a series of beautiful runes and secret scrolls, Jing Shu also joined the chaotic battle. After all, he was a rune master. He played a supporting role in the battle. He and Su Lingzu used their runes to create better conditions for their companions to attack. It was much safer to be at the back. As for Chu-hen, Han Yichuan, and Qiao Shaowan, they did not intend to join the battle immediately. It was very simple. They did not know the inside story of the battle between humans and demonic beasts. Moreover, this was not their purpose for coming here. The battle was getting more and more intense. It could be said that the sky was dark. Even though the demonic beasts had the advantage of numbers and were pushing forward, the human experts from various sects were also rushing over to support them. Both sides were like a huge wave colliding with a meteorite. The violent power that erupted from both sides shook the sky and cracked the earth. Chaotic shockwaves swept in all directions. What's going on? There are humans on the demonic beast side? Han Yichuan suddenly blurted out these words. Chu-hen was stunned at first. Then, he looked in the direction that the other party was pointing at. He saw that in the depths of the Great Canyon, behind the demonic beasts, there was a peerless mountain peak. At the peak of the mountain there were 3 figures. One of them was nearly 3 meters tall. His physique was as strong as an ox. His entire body was surrounded by red flames, and he looked very domineering. The other person was dressed in a black robe. However, his skin was extremely white. There were more than 10 bats circling around him. When Chu-hen fixed his eyes on the third person, he could not help but be stunned. It was actually a woman. Her slender and tall figure was impeccable. Even though she was far away, her innate temperament was enough for people to notice her in the crowd. Even though she was in the midst of tens of thousands of demonic beasts, she did not seem to be tainted by a trace of ferocity or vulgarity. There was only a completely different kind of purity. It's her, Chu-hen was surprised and curious. The other party was none other than the passerby who had helped him break free from the control of his inner demons with her music. If that was the case, that day was not an illusion. The other party really existed. However, what made Chu-hen a little surprised was that the other party was wearing a mask. The mask was very simple. There were only a few simple patterns on the corners of the mouth and the eyes, and it was enough to draw upward lines. This ordinary mask, when worn on her face, had an indescribable special attractiveness. It made people involuntarily curious to know what kind of face was behind the mask. What? They are not humans. They are just demonic beasts with a very noble bloodline. Qiao Shaowan denied what Han Ichuan said. Han Ichuan was slightly stunned. He looked at her strangely. He had almost forgotten that there was a monster who could transform into a human beside him. Qiao Shaowan knew what he was thinking. She pursed her lips and said, "Venerable demonic beasts can transform into human form after reaching a certain cultivation level. There are also some with a higher bloodline that can live in human form from birth. You, the chief disciple of the palace of Jihua, don't even know this common sense?" "I know. I just didn't realize it." Han Ichuan shrugged. Venerable level demonic beast. They had a noble bloodline that surpassed heavenly beasts and were equivalent to the ancient eternal realm. There was no doubt that demonic beasts at this level had the same intelligence as humans. "Is she also a demonic beast?" Chu Hen asked in a low voice. "Which one?" Qiao Shaowan looked at the masked woman in Chu Hen's direction. She hesitated for a moment and shook her head. "She seems to be human." This answer surprised Chu Hen even more. "I don't feel any demonic beast's aura on her, and what?" Han Ichuan asked casually. Qiao Xiaowan's eyes lit up and she said, "Moreover, her temperament is so special. I can't describe it." The chaotic battle continued to break out. The canyon below was filled with the corpses of many large demonic beasts. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Although the demonic beasts had suffered many casualties, the human powerhouses were not having a good time either. The battle line was constantly being pushed back. Rumble! Suddenly, the dark clouds in the sky surged and there was a violent rumble. "Humph, Wu Xiu, Song Hao. Are you two just going to stand aside and watch?" Accompanied by a thunderous sneer, a majestic and powerful palm force pressed down like a destructive storm, directly blasting into the dense crowd of demonic beasts. Boom! The space shook and the earth cracked. An incomparably powerful force surged over. Nearly 100 demonic beasts were instantly crushed into clouds of blood mist. Piercingly cold air waves covered the sky and the earth. The wind howled and the air waves rolled, everyone's eyes lit up. "It's the dragon's might divine palm. The powerhouses of profound Yang Palace are here. They really came at the right time. Ha! The gazes of Wu Xiu from the Han Yun sect and Song Hao from the Even Sky Pavilion went cold when they felt the violent aura that shot through the heavens and the earth, and they revealed displeased expressions. "Humph, the annoying guy finally came. I really don't want to see him." Chapter 1056. "Humph, the annoying guy is here." Wu Xiu from the Han Yun sect sneered, and his eyes turned gloomy. Song Hao from the Qixiao Pavilion was also a little unhappy. "I really don't want to see him." Compared to these two, the other human experts were much more excited. They were all surprised. Dragon Force Divine Palm. The people from the profound Yang Palace are here. Buzz buzz. The remaining power of the majestic palm swept in all directions. As the palm fell, it was like a destructive storm, killing nearly 100 demonic beasts in an instant. This kind of aura was enough to make one's heart tremble. Then, the red clouds that shrouded the sky rolled violently. Together with a beam of dazzling light, a fierce figure, who seemed to be bathed in holy light, appeared in the sky above the Grand Canyon. Profound Yang Palace. Qin He here. Arrogant, domineering, and innate arrogance surged between his eyebrows. All the human experts were astonished. "Hey, good performance." Wu Xiu crossed his arms in front of him and said with a faint smile. Qin He replied with a frivolous smile, "Everyone is risking their lives, but you two are enjoying yourselves. What do you know? The venerable level demonic beasts over there haven't moved yet. How can we make the first move?" Humph, according to what you said, if the venerable beast doesn't move, you plan to just watch? He turned around and looked coldly at the three figures at the top of the crowd of demonic beasts. Then he said, to catch the bandits, first catch the leader. Let's kill them directly. As long as we take them down, these evil beasts are nothing to worry about. After saying that, he directly stepped on the air and moved at an extremely high speed. Buzz, clusters of flowing golden light surrounded his whole body. He was like a meteorite that broke through the atmosphere, rushing all the way down and crashing into the crowd of demonic beasts. Bang, 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 wherever he went, he was like a hot knife through butter. All the demonic beasts that stood in his way were pierced through, and their internal organs were smashed, making shrill cries. Humph, you really like to command people. Wu Xiu was a little dissatisfied. However, since the human experts of many forces were fighting hard, Wu Xiu couldn't refute. Immediately, he and Song Hao jumped into the battle, one on the left and one on the right, and started killing and harvesting. 8 Desolation Blade. With a shout, Wu Xiu raised his arms high. His palms, which were clasped together, opened slightly, and a bright giant blade pierced through the sky like an aurora. Then, his arms swung down, and the giant blade directly chopped down like a tomahawk. The airflow in the air was split apart, the earth was fractured, and rocks were scattered everywhere. Together with a huge ravine that ran through the two places, dozens of demon beasts in a straight line were instantly cut into pieces. Even Firmament Pavilion's Song Hao was not to be outdone. He crossed his palms outwards, and a dazzling light immediately erupted from his palms. Following that, countless rays of light transformed into sharp swords that burst out, aiming straight for the vital points of the many demonic beasts in front of them. Burning sword rain. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The numerous swords rained down on the densely packed group of beasts. Even if the swords rained down randomly, 9 out of 10 of them still hit their target. The powerful rain of swords was extremely penetrative, like a divine rainbow. Under its powerful attacks, the demonic beasts were riddled with thousands of holes, flesh and blood flying everywhere. With the addition of the 3 ancient eternal stage geniuses, the pressure on the human side was immediately reduced. Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao were like entering and exiting an uninhabited area. They rushed straight down, broke a bloody path, and killed their way into the depths of the group of beasts. Alas! What a group of powerful fellows! We don't even deserve to be called geniuses. Han Yichuan shook his head slightly helplessly. As the chief disciple of the palace of Jihua, he had suffered a heavy blow today. In front of the disciples of the first-rate forces of the Midland, he was not worth mentioning at all. Sure enough, there's always a higher mountain and a higher sky. The victorious East Prefecture is indeed too small. Humans and demonic beasts were fighting a bloody battle. All kinds of violent forces were colliding, and it was a chaotic battle in the sky. Those few demon venerables should be making their moves soon, right? Qiao Shaowan said in a low voice. However, looking at Qin He, Song Hao, and Wu Xiu slaughtering in all directions, the 3 figures at the back of the group of beasts didn't seem to have much of an emotional fluctuation. The man, who was nearly 3 meters tall and was surrounded by a red flame, raised his head and looked at the gloomy sky. His blood-red eyes were as vertical as a cat. It's almost time. His deep voice was as deep as the beat of a drum, and it was filled with a domineering aura. He. The man in the black robe, who had extremely white skin and was surrounded by bats, smiled eerily. Let's get rid of these 3 annoying flies first, then we have to hurry up. We don't have much time. I'll deal with 2 and you deal with 1. Deal. As soon as they finished speaking, both of them released a wave of extremely ferocious demonic aura. The aura, which was like a stormy sea, gushed out like tens of thousands of beasts running, and a wave of irresistible pressure directly rushed toward the human experts in front of them. What a powerful aura! Everyone's expression changed. Even Qin He, Song Hao, and Wu Xiu frowned faintly. Their faces were filled with solemnity. Rumble! However, at this moment, a strange and strong turbulence suddenly arose in the depths of the great valley. Streaks of dazzling red blood light shot up into the sky like a blooming lotus. Blood mist churned in the sky above the 9 heavens, and the wind swirled around the clouds. It was accompanied by a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate. Howl! Howl! As soon as such a phenomenon appeared, all the beasts prostrated and trembled, and they howled at the sky. However, the expressions of the 2 demon sovereigns changed. They looked at each other, and they could see the shock and surprise in each other's eyes. "The time has been brought forward?" the man in the black robe asked. "Impossible! Something must have gone wrong." The tall man who was shrouded in the red light's gaze darkened, and his vertical pupils gleamed. "It seems like we have to retreat first." I'm afraid those annoying flies will follow us," the man in the black robe said coldly. "You guys go. I'll stop them." At this moment, a gentle and calm voice came from the side. Both of them looked at the tall figure who was wearing a mask at the same time. Her aura did not fluctuate at all, and it was as quiet as a pool of autumn water. The mask could cover her face, but it could not hide her peerless elegance and temperament. "Thank you, Miss Bai," the man in the black robe said. The pair of clear eyes behind the mask moved slightly, and she nodded gently in response. "Let's go." Roar! Along with a resounding roar that shook the heavens, the sturdy man's body violently expanded and changed. His muscles bulged like a horned dragon, and a scorching wave of air spread out. In an instant, a huge flood dragon with a pair of maple leaf-shaped wings on its back appeared between the heavens and the earth, spewing red flames out of its mouth. This flood dragon's body was thousands of feet long, and its aura was earth-shattering. The expressions on the faces of the human experts changed again and again, and they were filled with horror. "It's the Red Dragon Demon Supremes. Hee." Then, a group of blood-colored bats soared into the sky. Surrounded by the bats, a giant bat beast that was hundreds of feet long appeared in front of everyone's eyes, like the king of all beasts. Looking at the bat's body that was covered with thick scales, everyone's expression was solemn. Blood Bat Demon Supremes. These are the top existences among the Supremes. It's a little difficult. Just when the human powerhouses were nervous, the Red Dragon Demon Supremes danced in the air, swayed its huge body, turned around, and left. The Blood Bat Demon Supremes did not launch any attack, and followed closely behind, turning around and leaving. They left? What's going on? Roar! At the same time, most of the demonic beasts in the canyon also quickly retreated, following the 2 demon supremes. Seeing this, Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao could not help but look at the depths of the canyon, where the blood-colored light soared into the sky. The reason why the 2 demon supremes retreated so quickly was definitely not a trivial matter. That's the most central area of the Tomb of Immortals and Devils. Countless powerful demons and human powerhouses have been buried there. That's right. It's said that Yama King and a great emperor of the demon clan have died there. There must be something wrong with the demon clan's attack this time. Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao's eyes turned cold, and almost without any hesitation, they immediately launched an attack. Go! Swish, swish, swish! As the sky prides of the top forces, the 3 of them had powerful ancient eternal realm cultivation. In the face of such a situation, they did not intend to stop easily. However, just as the 3 of them passed through layers of demonic beasts and reached the central area of the canyon, air waves rose and a gust of wind blew. Chapter 1057. The center of the Tomb of Immortals and Devils was surging with endless demonic chi. The Red Dragon Demon and the Blood Bat Demon left without a fight. They led most of the demonic beasts to retreat. Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao, the 3 eternal stage geniuses from the top forces of the Midland, immediately led the others to chase after them. Just as the three of them passed through the layers of demonic beasts and quickly arrived at the middle section of the canyon, a lithe and agile figure directly blocked the path of the three of them. Buzz! The three of them paused, and their eyes were filled with surprise. Who are you? How dare you team up with the demons? Han Yun-sek's Wu Xiu questioned in a stern voice. The other party did not answer, and the expression behind the mask could not be seen. Get lost. Profound Sun Palace's Qin, he shouted in a deep voice. The pair of clear eyes behind the mask moved. Then, she turned her jade-like hand, and a beam of dazzling white light flashed. Immediately, a simple and unadorned writing brush appeared in her hand. The length of the brush was about 30 centimeters, and its entire body was covered with mysterious runes and symbols. The tip of the brush surged with traces of black light, as if it was dipped in dense ink. This is Heaven Gathering Pavilion's song. Hao was slightly shocked, and he subconsciously blurted out, the Heavenly Pillar writing brush, ranked second on the Saint Weapon list? Qin He and Wu Xiu were also shocked. The top 3 treasures on the Saint Weapon list were already comparable to divine weapons. The person who could hold such a saint weapon was definitely not an ordinary person. Especially when the other party casually took it out, it made her identity even more mysterious. Of course, whether it was the profound Sun Palace, Han Yun sect, or Heaven Gathering Pavilion, just the name of these sects was enough to give them confidence. After being shocked, Qin He's eyes turned cold, and his vigorous true origin energy instantly erupted. Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for being merciless. Dragon Might Divine Palm. Roar! A loud and clear dragon roar resounded between heaven and earth. Qin He struck out with his palm, and a destructive storm surged between heaven and earth like a roaring blizzard, rushing towards the mysterious woman in front of him. His first move was a heavy killing move. It showed Qin He's ruthless style. However, the mysterious woman didn't panic in the slightest when faced with this ferocious palm that could topple mountains and overturn the seas. She stretched out a single hand, and her fair and slender fingers spread open, causing the spirit energy of the heavens and the earth and the surroundings to be like 100 rivers entering the ocean, and it converged into her palm with the force of a whale swallowing everything. Then, with a slight movement of his palm, a solidified palm pillar immediately shot out. Boom! The two palms intersected like mountains and rivers colliding. The palm pillar formed by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was like a divine rainbow. It forcefully pierced through the storm-like energy and shot toward Qin He, who was behind him. What? Qin He furrowed his brows and dodged immediately. At the same time, Han Yun-sek's Wu Xiu had already flown out. His palms were facing each other, and a ball of extremely restless energy was spinning rapidly. Buzz! The piercingly cold aura caused the space to tremble. In an instant, 100-meter-long heavenly general halberd slashed down. The mysterious woman nodded slightly, and the pair of clear eyes under the mask were like a still ancient well. She held a heavenly brush in her hand and drew in the air. The dense flowing shadow at the tip of the brush sketched out black lines in the air. The speed was fast, and the rhythm was smooth. It was like moving clouds and flowing water, light and nimble. Whoosh! In just the blink of an eye, a black long sword was completed under her brush. Under the shocked gazes of many human experts, the black long sword that was drawn actually burst out with a powerful sword aura that made people's hearts tremble, accompanied by a crisp sword cry. The black long sword met the radiant heavenly general halberd head-on. Boom! It was like two flowing lights crossed each other, and a layer of vigorous and surging airwaves and light waves surged between heaven and earth. Whoosh! On the other side, Song Hao, who was in the Equal Cloud Pavilion, had already disappeared from his original spot. White light shadows flickered in the air one after another. The light shadows were like ghosts that were rapidly approaching the mysterious woman, like flowing lights and lightning. I want to see who you are. A mocking voice came from the left side. As if he had teleported, Song Hao, who was hundreds of meters away just now, suddenly flashed to the side of the mysterious woman. One of his hands stretched out like lightning, directly attacking the mask on the other party's face. However, the mysterious woman seemed to have been prepared. When the other party stretched out his hand, the heavenly brush in her hand quickly pointed at Song Hao's palm without hesitation. Song Hao was slightly surprised. Wasn't the other party's reaction speed too fast? It felt as if she knew his position in advance. Interesting. Song Hao sneered and immediately changed his palm into a claw. He backhanded the heavenly brush in the woman's hand. Many human experts present secretly marveled at the swift and fierce adaptability of the battle. But at the moment when the heavenly brush was about to be caught, the tip of the brush, which was flowing with black light, gently dragged out a bunch of subtle hooks in the air. The hooks instantly turned into a sharp hidden weapon dart, attacking Song Hao's throat with a spinning momentum. Song Hao's pupils shrank slightly. In a hurry, he immediately withdrew his attack and turned over to dodge. While dodging, Song Hao's figure once again disappeared on the spot, as if he had integrated with the air. Swish, swish, swish. White shadows flashed consecutively like a few fleeting lights and shadows. A burst of cold aura shrouded from all directions. Song Hao appeared behind the mysterious woman again like a ghost. This time, there was an arm-guard scimitar in his hand. The scimitar was like jade, cold light splashing in all directions. Everywhere the scimitar pointed, there was danger. "It's over!" Song Hao shouted loudly. The scimitar cut through the air and stabbed at the mysterious woman's back. It was definitely too late to dodge. Just when everyone thought the battle was about to end in Song Hao's hands, a dazzling golden light bloomed behind the mysterious woman. Bang! Song Hao's deadly scimitar was directly pushed back by a shocking force. The corners of Qin He's and Wu Xiu's eyes turned cold. Seeing that more than half of the beasts had retreated, they were afraid that they had to catch up as soon as possible. I can't care so much. Let's get rid of her first. Immediately, the two of them joined the battle one after another. Even though it was 1 against 3, the mysterious woman still looked calm and unruffled. The heavenly brush in her hand could be used as the main attack, but it could also be used as a support. Every stroke could create a world, and every stroke could create mountains and rivers. Numerous flowers, birds, beasts, and other objects transformed into life at her fingertips. Shriek! A long, high-pitched cry reverberated between heaven and earth. The black lines floating in the air formed a majestic eagle. The eagle soared into the sky, streaked across the sky, and swooped down toward Qin He, who was in front of her. As expected of a sacred weapon on the list that can rival a divine weapon. The power of the heavenly brush is really well-deserved. Chapter 1058. No wonder it's a sacred tool that's comparable to a divine tool. The power of the heaven-supporting brush is indeed well-deserved, Han Ichuan, who was watching the battle from afar, exclaimed. I've heard that anything can be transformed into a tangible state by the heaven-supporting brush. But that sister's technique is too fast. If it were me, the battle would be over before I could draw anything. Qiao Shaowan also echoed in amazement. Chu Hen's eyes were filled with a hint of contemplation. While watching the battle, his attention was also focused on the area behind the Great Canyon. The soaring demonic aura in the center of the Tomb of Immortals and Devils was slightly weaker than before, but it was still filled with blood-red light, like the burning clouds in the evening sky. Mysterious and unpredictable, many demonic beasts quickly retreated from the area. A portion of them and the mysterious woman were left behind to restrain the enemy. Boom! The two palms collided and the power collided. The aftermath of the collision was like a stormy sea, surging in the sky above the Great Canyon. Facing Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao, the three Eternal Realm geniuses, the mysterious woman seemed to be at ease. She used the void of heaven and earth as a piece of paper. Every stroke was a world, and every painting was a mountain and river. Everything was vivid and vivid. It was a dazzling and gorgeous scene. could be called a stroke of genius. In order to finish off their opponents, the three of them also used their ultimate move. Qin He's strength was ferocious, and he was in charge of attacking from the front. Wu Xiu assisted from the side. And Song Hao, with his extremely fast movement speed, was like an invisible man, constantly carrying out assassinations. The three of them didn't come from the same sect, and they had never trained together. But when they cooperated with each other, they seemed to have a tacit understanding. Geniuses are geniuses. The disciples of the big sects can always grasp the most perfect timing. Many human experts sighed from the bottom of their hearts. They are indeed very strong, but who is this woman? Why is she with demonic beasts? I believe we'll find out soon. That's right, she can't hold on for long. Boom! Qin He struck out with his palm. Tens of thousands of rays of light burst forth between heaven and earth. A frightening power surged toward the mysterious woman with a crushing force. The latter moved her brush, and the tip of the brush gently tapped the air. Buzz! Like the ripples on the surface of water, a round shield appeared indistinctly in front of her. The round shield spun rapidly, and all the rays of light that were rushing towards it bounced back the way they came. At the same time, Han Yun-sek's Wu Xiu rushed forward with a heavenly heavy halberd in his hand. His halberd danced in the air like a soaring dragon and leaping tiger. A vigorous arc of light streaked across the sky, slashing down diagonally towards his opponent. His strength could break through 1,000 caddies, and his momentum was like the mountains and rivers. The mysterious woman did not panic at all. She waved her holy pen, and the beautiful and dreamy lines instantly formed the outline of a swan. Xiu. Dragging a nimble and light shadow in the air, the mysterious woman lightly stepped on the back of the bird and disappeared in a flash. Wu Xiu's halberd struck empty air, causing space to tremble as a piercingly cold and ferocious qi wave spread out. While the mysterious woman was moving, the holy brush never stopped, and light black lines were drawn in the air. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immediately afterward, white shadows constantly flashed in the void. The shadows advanced and flickered rapidly, like ghosts and spirits. Accompanied by a long and narrow blade shadow that streaked across the air, Song Hao once again closed in on his opponent. Humph, you can't escape this time. Buzz! Like a transparent person appearing out of thin air, Song Hao suddenly appeared behind his opponent, a trace of pride in his eyes. The arm guard's curved blade pierced towards her back in the form of a sudden thrust. The blade emitted a dazzling cold light, and the cold light quickly turned red, like a blood blade. The piercingly cold aura of death assaulted, and the air temperature suddenly became cold. However, just as the blood blade was about to fall, the mysterious woman directly tiptoed and flashed away from the back of the swan's shadow like a spirit goose. Hiss! The cold and merciless blade cut the swan's shadow into two directly like cutting tofu, splitting it into pieces. Just a little more. All the human experts shook their heads. What's going on? Song Hao's rhythm can be said to be perfect and impeccable, but why is it a little more every time? It's really strange. The opponent seems to know where Song Hao is, and can always predict his next action. Invisibility is ineffective against her? 2 consecutive assassination failures had already made Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao cautious. At this moment, 2/3 of the demonic beasts in the Grand Canyon had retreated, and the remaining 1/3 had no intention of continuing to fight, retreating as they fought. Obviously, if they could not break through the blockade, this operation seemed to have been a waste of effort for the humans. From the beginning, you used a heaven-supporting brush to deal with us, and did not use your own martial art. You are afraid that we will see something, so you covered your identity like this. Am I right? Profound Yang Palace's Qin, he said in a proud tone. The mysterious woman nodded slightly, and her voice was as calm as water. Ignorant arrogance. Ignorant arrogance? Qin He's face darkened. Humph. I want to see what ability you have to dare to say that we are ignorant arrogance. Buzz buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a sudden violent tremor in the sky. Everyone was shocked. They saw that with the mysterious woman as the center, there were actually numerous dark black lines floating in the world. This is? Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao could not help but frown. Even Chu Hen and the others, who were watching the battle from afar, were shocked. This layout is beautiful, Han Yichuan praised. The floating black lines in the void were like a strange star net. The positions of these lines were the places where the mysterious woman had been when she fought just now. Everyone was astonished and amazed at the same time. A painting within a painting. A game within a game. When she used a heaven-supporting brush to draw those objects, she secretly added a few strokes, perfectly forming a spectacular giant picture, a heaven-supporting brush. It was the hand of God. Swish, the woman lifted her wrist slightly, and the brush moved. A few long and narrow dreamy lines wandered from the middle, quickly connecting with the other lines around. Whoosh! It was like a meticulously sculpted piece of art. Like the finishing touch, all of the lines were instantly connected in an extremely ingenious manner. Buzz! Following that, a vast and mighty power spread out. 1,000-meter-tall giant holding a giant axe appeared before everyone's eyes. The giant was like a mountain, and dense black flames surged all over its body. It was like a god or a demon, and its aura made everyone shudder. It did not seem like a fake drawing at all. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. What was stunning wasn't this fake drawing of a giant, but rather its creator. Roar. Without any time to recover, the giant god-fiend raised the giant axe in its hand and charged toward the crowd of experts below. It had the power to suppress mountains and rivers, and its power to uproot mountains. A battle axe fell from the sky, and a terrifying axe light fell down, like the shadow of the moonlight, the light of a divine rainbow, powerfully chopping down. Boom! Chapter 1059. Boom! The terrifying axe radiance was like the shadow of the moonlight. With a momentum that could pierce through mountains and rivers, it hit the mountain ridge below hard. The earth-shattering shock swept across the great valley. Like a deity or a demon, it could uproot mountains. The destructive axe strike made many human experts spit blood. Their chi and blood boiled, and they could not stand steadily. Very smart. After creating the giant demon with the heaven-supporting writing brush, the mysterious woman did not attack Qin He, Wu Xiu, and Song Hao directly. Instead, she chose to attack the others, who had a relatively weak defense and a relatively large number of people. After all, the giant demon was not strong enough to defeat the three of them. It was much easier to deal with the other group of people. Similarly, without these human experts, Qin He, Song Hao, and Song Hao would not have dared to rush into the central area of the Tomb of Immortals and Devils rashly. Cutting the back line makes them uncomfortable. So smart. Han Yichuan exclaimed for the third time. Qiao Shaowan also nodded. I guess she just wants to restrain the actions of the humans. It's fine as long as she achieves this goal. Boom! The giant demon, covered in black flames, was unstoppable. Its giant axe was like the heaven's punishment blade, chopping randomly. The human experts did not dare to fight with it. They all chose to retreat. With one swing of the axe, the large-scale attack reached the back line. Even the inscriptionist, who was in charge of assisting, had to retreat. Humph! Seeing this, the faces of Qin He, Song Hao, and Wu Xiu darkened obviously. You're courting death. Qin He shouted. Do you really think that's all we have? Looking at the human experts whose formation was disrupted by the giant demon and the beasts who were retreating further and further away, Wu Xiu's eyes darkened. He said in a low voice, I'll deal with that monster. You guys hurry up and deal with her. Swish! As soon as he finished his words, Wu Xiu dashed toward the giant demon with black flames. Humph! Fake things should not exist in this world. Buzz! Strong waves covered the sky, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas. Wu Xiu's speed exploded to the extreme instantly. His whole body was filled with crimson light. Like a meteorite passing through the atmosphere, he slashed across the sky, setting off an infinite destructive momentum, and hit the giant demon's chest. Bang! Heaven and earth shook, mountains and rivers split apart. The black flame troll's huge body was directly crushed to the ground. Its huge body continuously slammed into the mountain behind it, causing the mountain peaks to collapse and the stone walls to break. The layers of rock walls were like pieces of tofu, splashing everywhere. Senior Wu Xiu, the eyes of the Han Yun sect's disciples lit up, and their faces were filled with joy. "Is everyone all right?" Wu Xiu asked solemnly. "We're fine," Zhuo Yuan replied hurriedly. He then continued, "It's just that those three people, they've been watching the show from the start. Damn them," Wu Xiu furrowed his brows. He followed the direction that Zhuo Yuan was pointing at and coldly glanced at Chu Hen and the other two. Jing Shu was about to say something, but the black flame troll had already climbed out of the rubble. Its heavy breath was even hotter than the heat wave. "Humph!" Wu Xiu coldly snorted. "I'd like to see how many of my heavy blows you can take." Buzz! A majestic aura burst out from Wu Xiu's body, and the other experts subconsciously retreated a few steps. Rumble! Then, dark clouds surged in the sky, and a huge wave of pressure shrouded the area. The endless layers of clouds parted, and a dazzling light shone down. A glazed pagoda that emitted an endless aura descended from the sky. "Cloud pagoda suppression!" Wu Xiu shouted loudly. Rumble, thunder roared, and the sky and earth lost their color. The cloud pagoda suppression brought with it an imposing aura like the 5 great mountains, pressing down on the black flame troll. It was luxurious and resplendent, and its aura was so strong that it shook the heavens and the earth. Bang! The divine pagoda suppressed the troll, and an unstoppable force gathered on its opponent's body. The troll, who had yet to completely stand up, once again fell heavily to the ground. The mountains and rivers beneath its body shattered, and countless deep and dark cracks rapidly spread in all directions. The black flame troll was suppressed under the pagoda, and it couldn't move at all. "This guy is starting to get serious." Song Hao's eyes darkened, and he glanced at Profound Sun Palace's Qin He. "It's time for us to make a move." "Hey!" Qin He sneered frivolously. "How about one move?" "That's exactly what I was thinking." Song Hao's voice turned cold, and his aura surged as he immediately disappeared. A white light flashed in the air, and with a leap, it quickly approached the mysterious woman. "We apologize for underestimating you before. This time, you won't have any chance." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A series of wind-breaking sounds overlapped, and 6 streaks of light flashed in 6 different directions of the mysterious woman. Buzz! The 6 streaks of light quickly became thin, bright, and transparent, like 6 layers of a glass box, sealing the opponent in a 5 to 6 meter wide square space. "You won't have the chance to escape." Swoosh! The cyclone moved, and Song Hao appeared outside the square space. He raised one hand, and the arm guard's curved blade once again emitted a dazzling red light, as if it had been soaked in fresh blood. "Their movements are restricted. It seems that they have learned to be smart this time," Han Ichuan said. Chu Hen's eyes darkened slightly. Because the mysterious woman was wearing a mask, he couldn't see her expression at the moment, and it was difficult to judge her condition. After restricting the opponent's movements, Song Hao didn't rush to make a move. Because what he needed to do was to wait. Buzz! Almost at the same time, Profound Sun Palace's Qin He leaped up into the sky. Tens of thousands of streaks of golden light poured out from behind him like a blazing sun. It was dazzling and incomparably glorious, like a giant golden lotus, that is. Everyone present turned pale with fright, and their pupils constricted. Qin He, under the holy light of the golden lotus shadow, was like a king who controlled the life and death of this world. The giant lotus faced downward, releasing an unparalleled holy aura, Could it be one of the supreme techniques of profound sun palace, lotus sun descends to the world? Tisk tsk, I can finally see this technique with my own eyes today. Sure enough, she's going to be killed in one blow. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the petals of the lotus opened one after another. Like a rapidly blooming flower bud, with every petal that opened, the power that enveloped heaven and earth became stronger. The scorching airwaves scorched the earth, and the entire sky above the Grand Canyon looked like a scorching sun. Then, the destructive power directly locked onto the mysterious woman in the area below. Chapter 1060. Buzz. Buzz, the sky trembled, and the world lost its color. Looking at the giant golden lotus that was like the scorching sun in the ninth heaven, all the human powerhouses in the Grand Canyon were shocked. It's actually one of the profound Sun Palace's supreme absolute skills, the Lotus Sun's descent. Oh my god! This Qin he is really amazing. I heard this martial technique is extremely overbearing. Coupled with the harsh cultivation conditions, many profound Sun Palace's disciples don't even dare to touch it. I can't believe he has cultivated it to mastery. Looks like he's going to kill her in one blow. On the other side, Wu Xiu from Han Yun's sect frowned slightly as he muttered in a deep voice, "These two fellows." Earlier, they were unable to break through the mysterious woman's obstruction even after attacking for a long time. This time, they naturally wanted to regain the face they lost earlier in one fell swoop, so they even executed an ultimate technique like the Lotus Sun's descent. The dark clouds in the sky above the Grand Canyon dispersed, and the scorching light shone on the ground. The giant lotus was like a sun in the sky. The flower bud slowly bloomed, and every time a petal bloomed, the energy it emitted grew stronger. This isn't good, Han Yichuan said in a deep voice. Qiao Shaowan shook her head as well. Even if she managed to block this killing move, there's still an assassin standing behind her. The two of them don't plan to let her go. Although the mysterious woman was on the demon beast's side, both of them did not have a good impression of the people from Han Yun's sect and Equal Sky Pavilion. They could not say which side they were on. They just felt that it was a pity. Buzz, buzz. The petals bloomed one after another like the countdown of the god of death. The dazzling light had already turned the area in front into a blind spot. Everyone could only see 3 black shadows. Looking at the mysterious woman who was trapped in the transparent square space without moving, a mocking smile appeared on Qin He's face that was condescending. I really want to see how panicked you look under that mask. I'm sorry, let's end this. End this. Buzz, Qin He put his palms together in the space that was trembling nonstop. A surging aura rose as the remaining 2 petals of the giant lotus behind him bloomed one after another. Instantly, a destructive energy brewed and dazzling lights bloomed. Swish, however, at this critical moment, a 4th black shadow suddenly appeared in the area enveloped by the strong light. What was going on? Everyone present was startled. They saw that the black shadow that had suddenly broken in was charging directly at Qin He's location at a speed comparable to that of a lightning bolt, without giving Qin He any time to react. The black shadow that had rushed up to Qin He did not say a word. He raised his fist and punched at Qin He with a tremendous force. A scene that exceeded everyone's expectations happened just like that. Qin He's pupils constricted, and his eyes were filled with coldness. Boom! An unprecedentedly loud bang suddenly erupted in the sky above the canyon. Under countless dumbfounded gazes, the huge golden lotus that had not bloomed with the last petal instantly exploded like a fireball. The Lotus Sun descends. He was interrupted at the last minute. Rumble! The huge golden lotus exploded on the spot. Scorching waves of air and fire that blotted out the sky and covered the earth spread in all directions. Like a tsunami that had broken through a dam, it rampaged in the canyon wantonly. The chaotic energy gushed out wantonly and pounced on the mysterious woman and Song Hao from the Equal Heaven Pavilion. Damn it! Song Hao cursed in a deep voice. Then, His eyes turned cold, and the blood-red scimitar in his hand burst out with a scarlet light. Just as he was about to land the finishing blow, a loud bang resounded, and the six-sided seal trapping the mysterious woman instantly exploded. Countless bright crystal fragments fluttered like rain. In the next moment, the golden storm that was wreaking havoc in the world came whistling. Song Hao had no choice but to retreat and fly away. The earth trembled and the mountains swayed. The remaining force of the violent energy attacked the earth like a storm. When everyone witnessed the destructive power of the Lotus Sun descending into the world with their own eyes and felt shocked, their hearts were filled with confusion. Did someone attack Qin He just now? It seems so. Anyway, Qin He's attack was interrupted at the critical moment. Who was it? The turbulent airwaves gradually dispersed, and a thick layer of rocks was directly scraped off the messy canyon. However, only Qin He and Song Hao were in the sky above the canyon where the airflow was chaotic. Even the mysterious woman had disappeared. He, good, very good. Qin He's face was ghastly pale. Qin He's face was dark and ghastly. His eyes were filled with cold light. He was so angry that he laughed with a hint of savagery. He, no one can escape from me, Qin He. No one. Equal Heaven Pavilion's Song Hao also had a cold expression. He glanced at the surrounding crowd and said in a deep voice, "Humph, it seems like there's indeed a spy sent by the demonic beasts in our crowd." Swish, swish, swish. In the dark and dense forest, a young figure was shuttling in the forest at a slow speed. He did not have a specific goal. He was only tracking by relying on a faintly discernible aura. Disappeared? Suddenly, Chu Hen stopped in his tracks. A trace of confusion could be seen on his face. Initially, he wanted to continue his pursuit, but after thinking about it, it did not seem necessary. Immediately, he shook his head and turned to leave. "Why did you help me?" When Chu Hen had walked less than 2 meters away, a gentle and indifferent voice came from behind. Chu Hen's heart lit up, and he immediately turned around. He saw a delicate and charming figure sitting on the branch of a towering tree in front of him. She was wearing a mask on her face, although the style of the mask was very ordinary, with only a few simple drawings. It gave people a very different feeling. However, the feeling she gave others was extremely different. Her innate, extraordinary temperament was not affected in the slightest. The dim light from the treetops shone down diagonally. Coupled with the mystery brought by the mask and the current environment, it gave people a familiar dreamy feeling. Chu Hen's heart trembled slightly. Suddenly, he felt like his heartstrings were touched. His eyes revealed a trace of unusual gentleness. The woman tilted her head slightly, seeming a little surprised. The way the man in front of her looked at her was a little unexpected. It was mixed with some kind of deep emotion, nostalgia and apology. The woman said softly. "And?" Chu Hen was startled again. Puzzled, he asked, "What did you say?" "From your eyes, I can see nostalgia and apology," the woman replied. Chu Hen was stunned. He immediately looked away and touched his nose apologetically. Chapter 1061. Nostalgia and Apologies, eh? What? From your eyes, I can see nostalgia and apologies. Chu Hen was stunned. Immediately, he shifted his gaze away and rubbed his nose a little apologetically. "I'm sorry, I forgot myself. I just thought of a friend from a long time ago. Every time she went out on a mission, she would wear a mask. Is that why you helped me?" The woman turned slightly and looked at Chu Hen. Chu Hen shook his head. "I haven't thanked you yet when we were at the lake in the forest. I just happened to pass by. It's not wise of you to offend the top 3 forces of the Midland for such a small matter." The woman's voice was gentle, and her tone was indifferent. It was as if the critical moment just now was not that dangerous for her. "Maybe." Chu Hen laughed heartily. His handsome face looked especially clean. "But it's not a small matter for me. So, you're not with them?" Chu Hen shook his head. "I'm just looking for someone." Looking for someone in the immortal and devil tomb? The woman was slightly surprised. Yes. That's surprising. Have you been in the immortal and devil tomb for a long time? Chu Hen suddenly asked. Not yet. I came the day I met you. Got it. Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. If the woman had been here for a long time, he might have been able to get some clues about Luo Mengchong. After all, she disappeared through the crack behind the space-devouring cave. It would definitely cause a big commotion. But the woman came to the immortal and devil tomb on the same day as him, so there was nothing he could do. What happened in the immortal and devil tomb? Why are there so many demon beasts here? Chu Hen opened his mouth to ask, but soon felt that it was not appropriate, so he corrected himself. Sorry, I was just asking. The pair of clear eyes behind the mask looked at him with interest. You shouldn't have asked. But there's no harm in telling you. A glimmer of light flashed across Chu Hen's eyes. The woman replied softly, thousands of years ago, a large-scale foreign race war broke out here. At that time, over a dozen powerful humans perished, and the devil race's Yama King and a demon race emperor were killed here. Yama King? Monster race great emperor? The corners of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly, and he had an idea. After the fall of the monster race great emperor and Yama King, the evil aura they left behind never dissipated due to their overwhelming strength. As time passed, this area gradually became a forbidden area. Thus, it was called the Tomb of Immortals and Demons. It means that the Tomb of Immortals and Demons is where immortals and demons are buried. The Tomb of Immortals and Demons buried immortals and demons. Chu Hen nodded, indicating that he was listening. The demon clan has invaded the immortal and devil tomb on a large scale to retrieve the demon emperor's bone that was left behind during the Great War. Demon Thearka's bone? Chu Hen was stunned. Bring it back to be buried? Since that's the case, it's reasonable. Why would those sects interfere? The other party didn't answer Chu Hen's question. She stood up slightly, and stood on a tree branch, tall and elegant. It's enough to know a rough idea, there's no need to know too much. Yes. Chu Hen nodded gratefully. Buzz. The space trembled and airwaves stacked up. Along with a powerful aura, over a dozen dazzling light beams descended from the sky, like auroras descending from the sky, and landed directly on the peak of a towering mountain. This group of people had an imposing appearance, wearing golden battle armor, and holding holy light spears. Their cold eyes revealed a sharp glint. Humph, they actually escaped to the tomb of immortals and devils. A deep and cold voice was filled with coldness. Accompanied by a frightening cold aura, a haggard middle-aged man with sunken eye sockets, as thin as a zombie walked forward. His cold eyes that were suffused with a dim light swept over the endless deep mountain range in front of him, and a trace of a savage smile appeared on his shriveled lips. No one can escape from me, Qing Xiong, he. Thank you for telling me this. In the quiet forest, Chu Hen looked at the mysterious woman in front of him. Before he could say anything, he suddenly sensed a familiar but cold aura. It's them. Chu Hen was shocked, and he couldn't help but frown. I didn't expect them to chase me all the way here. The cold aura was still fresh in Chu Hen's memory. Back then, the other party directly slammed him into the sea from the flowing cloud golden ship, the Light Saint tribe. Previously, after leaving Whale Island City, he was intercepted by the Light Saint tribe on his way. Chu Hen moved alone, and a fierce battle broke out between him and the Light Saint tribe experts. Although Chu Hen had used a trick to kill another ancient Eternal Realm expert, Yin Quan, on the Nameless Island, the leader, Qing Xiong, was too strong, and Chu Hen didn't dare to rashly counterattack, so he could only choose to leave originally. He thought that he had completely shaken off those people after coming to the Tomb of Immortals and Devils. He didn't expect them to be able to track him all the way here. It was really unexpected. You seem to be in a bit of trouble, the mysterious woman said softly. Chu Hen's brows slightly relaxed, and he smiled embarrassedly. I'm sorry, I have to go first. With that, Chu Hen nodded and turned to leave. But just as he took 2 steps forward, his expression suddenly changed, and a scorching pain spread from his chest. What's going on? Chu Hen subconsciously covered his chest with his hands, and only felt that the 8 extraordinary meridians in his body were burning, and it was very uncomfortable. It's the hidden attack of the lotus sun descends to the world. The calm voice came from behind again. Hidden attack? Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows knitted, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. The mysterious woman shook her head. It seems that you know nothing about the forces in the Midland. The lotus sun descends to the world of the profound sun palace is known for its overbearingness, and the reason why it has such a strict training requirement is that the sunfire hidden force is extremely difficult to control and can easily injure oneself. But once you master it, it can hurt others invisibly. Hurt others invisibly? Chu Hen suddenly understood. In other words, although he had stopped Qin He from launching the lotus sun descends to the world, at the last moment, the hidden attack released by the chaotic power had secretly drilled into his body. By now, the sunfire hidden force had already flowed through all major meridians of his body, and that was why the reaction was so strong. He had been too careless. Chu Hen silently shook his head. The situation was too critical before, so he didn't think too much. As expected, when dealing with people from those powerful sects, he couldn't be careless. Just when Chu Hen didn't know how to deal with the predicament in front of him, the mysterious woman's calm voice came out. Chapter 1062. You stay. At this moment, the mysterious woman said indifferently. Chu Hen was stunned at first, then he understood what she meant. That person's cultivation level is very high, I'll be careful. The other party didn't seem to mind, giving off a faint sense of aloofness. Seeing this, Chu Hen nodded. Even though he didn't want to owe the other party another favor, it seemed like there was no better way. Under such circumstances, if he forced himself to show off, he might very well lose his life. Immediately, the woman stepped lightly on the branches of the tree and turned around, preparing to leave. Oh yes, I'm Chu Hen. May I know your name, miss? The woman paused for a moment, then turned sideways to face Chu Hen. Chu Hen continued, I just feel that after accepting your kindness twice, if I don't even know your name, it's a bit unreasonable. My surname is Bai. The girl lightly raised her jade-like hand. Her slender and white fingers held onto the mask on her face. Then, the mask slowly moved away. In an instant, the air in the forest seemed to have entered a state of stillness. Chu Hen's pupils slightly trembled. Under the mask, it was a face that could cause the downfall of nations and people. Her eyebrows were as beautiful as a painting, her skin as white as snow, and a pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes that could bring disaster to a country. Even though Chu Hen had seen countless women in the past, and many of them were beautiful, he couldn't help but be stunned. A peerless beauty. Not an exaggeration. My surname is Bai and my name is Qianyu. Her beautiful eyes met Chu Hen's gaze, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly, like a poem or a painting, a smile that could bring disaster to a country. I just feel that it's a bit impolite to introduce myself with a mask. By Qianyu. Shallow and deep, eternal joy unending. It was as beautiful as if it was prepared for her. Like a footprint left in the snow, shallow and deep, pure and white. Seeing that Chu Hen was a little at a loss, Bai Qianyu put on the mask again. Then, this will be the first day, huh? Chu Hen was taken aback. What? The first day we met, Chu Hen was taken aback, then responded with a smile. It's my honor. Farewell. Be careful. Also, thank you. Bai Qianyu nodded lightly and disappeared into the deep forest. After a brief moment of absent-mindedness, Chu Hen gently shook his head. Why did it feel like a dream just now? Speaking of which, when the man was wearing a mask, it did remind Chu Hen of an old friend. Sacred Star Empire. The regent, Huang Fuqing. Of course, Chu Hen preferred to call her Xia Qing. Nostalgia. Apology. Indeed. If she wasn't a member of the royal family, Perhaps she wouldn't need to feel nostalgic and apologetic. She clearly remembered that when she left back then, she left a gentle kiss on Chu Hen's lips and smiled as she bid farewell with tears in her eyes. Can't hate, because love. He couldn't love because he couldn't face it. Now that several years had passed, the only thing Chu Hen felt for Huang Fuqing was nostalgia and regret. Swish, swish, swish. The sound of rushing wind continued to sweep across the sky. More than a dozen sharp auras closely followed the fast-moving figure in front of them. Both sides kept a certain distance from each other, like a game of tag. Just as the two parties entered a few cliffside gorge one after the other, a strong and powerful aura suddenly erupted from the pursuers behind them. Humph, stop. Tiangang Palm. Buzz, in an instant, the color of the sky changed. Along with the tumbling clouds that could topple mountains and overturn seas, a huge black palm descended from the sky. It was like the hand of a god reaching down from the heavens, directly sealing off the path of the person in front of it. Boom! The peerless power struck down solidly. More than half of the two mountain peaks were directly crushed, and the scattered gravel and shock waves swept out wantonly. The people in front were directly knocked back. Swish, swish, swish. The pursuers behind took advantage of the situation and blocked the pursuers' way like heavenly soldiers and generals. Where's that little bastard? A cold chill caused the airflow to drop. A middle-aged man who was as thin as firewood and as thin as a zombie had a cold look in his eyes. Do I know you? In front of him, a delicate figure wearing a mask replied indifferently. The light sacred clan's guards were confused. The chief guard, Song Li, walked up to the middle-aged man and said in a low voice, Lord Qing Xiong, we're chasing the wrong person. Chasing the wrong person? However, Qing Xiong's sunken eyes shone with a cold light like that of a venomous snake. Humph, you deliberately lured us away. You must be with that bastard. If you don't want to die here, hand him over obediently. What if I don't? Bai Qianyu said softly. Heh, do you know who we are? Qing Xiong's eyes were ferocious. I don't know, and I don't want to know. Very well, since you're seeking death. How can this elder not fulfill your wish? Qing Xiong's killing intent exploded, and surging true inner energy surged out. The aura of a level 3 eternal realm, and above pressed down on the pursuers like a mountain. The sacred clan's guards were also ferocious. One by one, they took out their weapons, and the dragon-like light patterns quickly wrapped around the spears in their hands. Take him, yes. As soon as he finished speaking, the guards immediately surrounded Bai Qianyu. Beams of dazzling light beams were like rainbows after a rain, illuminating the sky. However, Bai Qianyu stood motionless in the air. Just as everyone's attacks were about to reach him, an incomparably strange power spread out from his body. Countless rays of resplendent golden light instantly bloomed. Like the bright moon, like the stars. His originally extraordinary temperament was sublimated once again. In an instant, the pair of clear eyes behind the mask quietly turned into a pair of mysterious golden pupils. The incomparable aura of a supreme being was like that of an emperor. It was a power that struck straight into the depths of one's soul. Wow, what? Through the mask, the moment Qing Xiong saw the pair of golden eyes, his expression changed drastically. An unprecedented fear immediately covered his thin and withered face. You are. God. His trembling voice did not have the chance to finish speaking. Buzz! The space behind the mask trembled violently, and a few black dots of light vaguely appeared in the golden pupils behind the mask. The dots of light chased after each other, and an extremely powerful aura spread out. The space where everyone was immediately distorted. Qing Xiong's pupils shrank. Song Li and the other sacred guards also had a bad feeling. No! Bang! An incomparably heavy, earth-shattering sound exploded in the void, and a vast and majestic golden cyclone directly swept out in all directions. Heaven and earth trembled, and the surrounding mountain ranges were flattened one after another. For example, the shockwave of a golden storm directly swallowed Qing Xiong, Song Li, and the others. In just a second, everyone's aura disappeared without a trace. The Sacred Clan's team. Chapter 1063. Few, in the depths of the deep and gloomy forest, Chu-Hen, who was hiding behind a shrub, let out a deep breath of dark red-hot turbid air. His closed eyes slowly opened, and his bright eyes glowed with a sense of relaxation. Finally got rid of the Sunfire hidden force, Chu-Hen shook his head and sighed. The profound Yang Palace's unique skill, advent of the Lotus Sun, was indeed extraordinary. The Sunfire hidden force was invisible and could hurt people. Fortunately, he managed to expel it in time. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome. I wonder how Miss Qianyu is doing. Chu-Hen's eyes were filled with gratitude, but he was also a little worried. After all, Qing Xiong was a rank 3 Eternal Realm expert. However, Bai Qianyu was able to face Qin He Wuxiu and Song Hao without losing. She was naturally not an ordinary person. It's been a long time, but they haven't returned. There should be no more problems. Immediately, Chu-Hen slowly stood up and scanned the quiet surroundings. Then, he transformed into a ray of light and disappeared from where he stood. After a while, Chu-Hen returned to the valley where the fierce battle had taken place. The ground was a mess, and the air was still filled with traces of wild aura. Corpses were everywhere, and the corpses of various demonic beasts and human experts were scattered everywhere. At a glance, the vast valley was deathly silent. Only the valley wind blew past, emitting a whistling sound. Just when Chu-Hen was preparing to leave, Xiao, a hurried afterimage flashed over. Hee, you're finally back. You really made me wait for a long time, the champion of the heavenly talisman battle. The disdainful laughter was full of complacency. Chu-Hen frowned. The person who came was the genius of Zhongyuan Castle, Zhuiyuan. Waiting for me? What else? Zhuiyuan stood in the air and looked down at Chu-Hen. Chu-Hen couldn't help but find it funny. Was this guy looking for death? He clearly knew that he didn't like him, yet he still appeared in front of him so arrogantly. Wasn't he afraid that he would kill him with a single slap? However, Chu-Hen had no intention of responding. He turned around and prepared to leave. Hee, you can leave now. If you leave, those two unlucky fellows will have their blood splattered all over this immortal and devil tomb. What did you say? Chu-Hen's eyes turned cold as he stared coldly at Zhuohan's smug smile. The latter spread his hands and shrugged. Hey, don't think that you're the only smart person in the world, and that everyone else is a fool. I'm sorry to tell you that you've messed with the wrong person this time. If you want the two of them to live, then you'd better come with me obediently. After saying that, Zhuiyuan moved and plunged into the depths of the canyon. Chu-Hen hesitated for a moment. Was this a trick? Or were Qiao Shaowan and Han Yizai really in their hands? After a brief moment of contemplation, Chu-Hen's eyes darkened. He then stepped into the air and followed Zhuiyuan. The front and back of the Grand Canyon was surrounded by precipitous peaks. The straight peaks were like heavenly pillars that pierced through the clouds. Near the center of the tomb of the immortal and devil, there were many ancient buildings that had stood tall for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. There were palaces, pavilions, pagodas. Under the erosion of wind and rain, these ancient buildings gave off a sense of vicissitude. Those bastards are all hiding and refusing to come out. In a vast ancient plaza, the surrounding stone steps were covered in moss green, and a few gloomy dark plants swayed in the cracks between the stones. On the highest level of the square, there were 200 to 300 human experts from different forces. The teams from Han Yun's sect, Qishao Pavilion, and Xianyang Palace were all here. Everyone's expressions were solemn as they stared at the sky above the northern region with deep gazes. That was the center of the immortal and devil tomb. It was also the place where the demon emperor had fallen. At this moment, the whole area was shrouded in a black sand fog. The fog was like a demonic barrier that covered the sky and the earth. It was like a layer of mysterious enchantment. No one dared to approach it, let alone barge in. The human experts had been chasing after them. For the time being, they could only stop and wait and see. Humph, if it weren't for these spies, we wouldn't have to wait here. A disciple of Qixiao Pavilion scolded. Everyone's eyes were focused on the center of the square. There were a few stone pillars that were hundreds of meters tall. They were carved with mysterious runes. A man and a woman were tied under two of the stone pillars. They were none other than Qiao Shaowan and Han Ichuan. At this moment, they felt like they were facing thousands of people. Looking at the disdainful and angry eyes, they felt helpless and angry. It seems that the cowardly rat has abandoned you too. Why don't you tell me where he is, and I will consider letting you two go, profound Yang Palace's Qin. His tone was full of ridicule. Hey! Han Ichuan sneered. I think you are mistaken. We are good people. Without any evidence, you tied us here. Your so-called aristocratic forces really know how to bully the weak. Hee, it's useless to be stubborn, Qin. He smiled lightly. He then raised his left hand. Along with a wave of scorching power, a layer of golden light pattern rose from his arm. Those who are injured by the sunflame hidden force will have their 8 extraordinary meridians damaged. In the future, not to mention cultivation, they might not even be able to stand steadily. Do you want to try? Everyone's expression changed slightly. They looked at Qin He with fear in their eyes. Han Ichuan, however, showed no fear. Ha 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 ha, do you think I'm scared? Let me tell you, if you want to kill me, just do it. Don't talk nonsense. Oh, you're quite strong-willed. But your companion doesn't seem to be in a good state. Qin He glanced sideways at Qiao Shaowan, who was tied to another stone pillar, with great interest. At this moment, Qiao Shaowan's small face was tense, and she was breathing heavily. She looked drowsy, and her aura was inexplicably chaotic. It was like an irrepressible hostility. Han Ichuan was secretly anxious. This was not the first time he had seen such a situation. If Qiao Shaowan exploded here, the consequences would be unimaginable. What should he do? Senior brother Qin He, I think you really misunderstood. At this time, the nervous Jing Shu couldn't help but stand up. Qin He turned sideways and replied, Who are you? Jing Shu looked at Wu Xiu of Han Yun's sect and said, I'm a registered disciple of Han Yun's sect. Oh? So, this matter is related to your Han Yun sect? Qin He asked Wu Xiu. The latter sneered and said, You think too much. Really? Qin He looked at Jing Shu again, and his eyes were as sharp as the edge of a sword. Jing Shu lost his confidence as if he had been seen through. It seems that you are very familiar with them. Me? Jing Shu stammered, not knowing what to do. Are you a spy too? No, I'm not. Jing Shu became more and more nervous. Under the pressure of Qin He's aura, Jing Shu was completely at a loss. Very good. Since you're a registered disciple of the Han Yun sect, I believe that you're not a spy. Then, Qin He paused for a moment, turned sideways, pointed at Han Ichuan and said, You go and cut off his arms. What? Jing Shu turned pale with fright. Senior brother Qin He, you? Qin He smiled very calmly, crossing his arms in front of him. If he still doesn't want to talk, take off his legs. I believe you won't let me down. After saying that, Qin He patted Jing Shu on the shoulder. Jing Shu was already panicking. He just wanted to defend Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan, but he didn't expect that he would be crushed by Qin He before he could finish his words. Jing Shu turned to Wu Xiu, as if he was asking for help. But Wu Xiu was also indifferent. Except for Su Lingzu, who frowned slightly, the others looked as if they were watching a show. Come on. Anyway, these bastards won't let me go today. I'd better die in your hands. Han Ichuan was also very tough. But the more he was like this, the more uneasy Jing Shu was. What? Can't do it? Qin He said with a gentle smile, Now I'll give you 2 choices. Either take off his arms, or take off your own. Jing Shu's face turned pale. Everyone present was also secretly shocked. This Qin He was really ruthless. He was like an iron chain crossing the river, making people unable to advance or retreat. However, just as he finished speaking, a thunderous sound reverberated in the sky above the ancient square. These two choices are not good. I think it's better to take off your arms, Buzz. Chapter 1064. Neither of these two options is good. I think cutting off your arm is the most suitable. A thunder-like momentum swept across the sky above the ancient square like a tide. Together with the fierce wind and the cyclone, all the experts gathered here were startled. They looked up and saw a graceful shadow flying over from the direction of the canyon. His cold eyes were like swords, and his momentum was like a rainbow. Han Ichuan's heart was filled with joy. He turned to the side and shouted to Qiao Shaowan, who was not far away, "Girl, hold on a little longer. Chu Hen is coming." Qiao Shaowan trembled slightly, and a trace of emotion appeared in her blank eyes. However, he still appeared to be half-conscious. This guy really dared to come back. A young disciple of the Han Yun sect shouted coldly. Everyone was also observing Chu Hen, this strange, uninvited guest. They couldn't help but feel puzzled. Is this guy the one who stopped Qin He from using the Lotus Sun Descends to the world? Is there a mistake? This guy's cultivation seems to be only at the 7th level of the profound sky realm. He hasn't even reached the ancient eternal realm. How could he resist the sun-flaming hidden energy? Didn't you hear what he said just now? He said he wanted to cut off Qin He's arm. Maybe the 7th level of the profound sky realm is just a facade. While many people were discussing below, Chu Hen walked in the air and stood high up in the sky. "Brother Chu Hen, you're finally here. Come and clarify this. This is all a misunderstanding," Zheng Shu said with a sincere sigh of relief. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly. Looking at Zheng Shu, who still had anxiety on his face, he couldn't help but feel grateful. "Brother Zheng, this has nothing to do with you. You can leave now." "Okay." Zheng Shu nodded and immediately returned to the Han Yun Sect's team. Then, Chu Hen's eyes swept directly toward profound Sun Palace's Qin He. When their eyes met, an invisible sharp aura collided in the air. "Since the person you're looking for is me, please let go of my friend, He. Qin He grinned. His smile was full of sarcasm. "Very good. It's good that you're here. I was afraid that you would run away just like that. It was you who launched a sneak attack on me, wasn't it? The feeling of the sunflame hidden force entering your body isn't bad, right?" Chu Hen raised his eyebrows. "What do you want?" "It's very simple." Qin He turned sideways and pointed at Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan, who were tied to the stone pillar. Then, he shook his head at Chu Hen and chuckled. "As you said just now, if you can't cut off my arms, I will cut off their arms today, and your head. Buzz!" An undisguised cold-killing intent emanated from Qin He's body. It was obvious that the interruption of Lian Yang's descent had caused him to lose all his dignity. What he needed to do now was to regain all the dignity he had lost from Chu Hen. On the other side, Wu Xiu from the Han Yun sect and Song Hao from the Qishao pavilion looked as if they were watching a show. The latter, in particular, had a lazy smile on his face as he said in a frivolous tone, "Don't be too ruthless. Keep him alive so that we can ask about the movements of those evil beasts from the demon clan." "Hey!" Qin He's eyes darkened as a majestic aura spread out. "I don't need you to teach me. Dragon Might Divine Palm!" Rumble, the space vibrated. Without any room for discussion, Qin He made his move without another word. In an instant, a storm-like palm aura pierced the sky with crushing momentum and blasted toward Chu Hen. Humph! Since he couldn't avoid it, he might as well accompany him to the end. If it was only Qin He alone, it would not be enough to make Chu Hen afraid. Focusing his mind, Chu Hen's entire body shone with thunderous radiance. He swept across the sky and instantly turned into a beam of lightning. Boom! Clang! The ferocious palm aura and the violent thunderbolts collided wantonly. The sky was filled with sparks and air waves. Chu Hen pierced through the storm-like palm aura like a giant thunderbolt sword. He slashed down with the power of lightning, stirring up a monstrous force, and slashed toward Qin He this aura. The faces of the experts from the various forces changed, and they subconsciously retreated. Qin He's pupils shrank to the size of a needle tip, and a trace of coldness appeared between his eyebrows. Bang! The ground cracked and rocks flew everywhere. The huge square suddenly caved in deeply, and a huge pit appeared. Surging air waves spread in all directions. Qin He's feet dragged on the ground, and he retreated more than 10 meters before he could stabilize his body. However, Chu Hen landed steadily on the ground. Electric arcs flashed between his palms and arms, which looked like blue dazzling light. For the first time in a head-on confrontation, Chu Hen had the upper hand. It had to be said that everyone was quite surprised. This guy is quite capable. No wonder he dares to challenge Qin He. Maybe there will be some changes. Humph. Don't be happy too early. Qin He's face darkened. He moved his feet and dashed out like a bolt of lightning. Chu Hen's cold eyes flickered, and the electric arcs under his body spread out like a blue spider web. When Qin He approached, the dense electric arcs quickly shrouded him. In the next instant, Chu Hen flipped over and gave a heavy kick in the air, landing a solid kick on his opponent's chest. Bang! A heavy, muffled sound rang out. A circle of vigorous air waves surged out, and Qin He was sent flying like a sandbag. What? 2 consecutive setbacks instantly caused everyone present to be extremely astonished. What was going on? Did Qin He underestimate his opponent? Or was there another reason? Wu Xiu's and Song Hao's faces were also filled with caution. At the same time, the genius disciples of the profound Sun Palace, who saw that Qin He was at a disadvantage twice, did not say anything. They drew their swords and attacked Chu Hen, presumptuous. Take him down. Humph. Chu Hen snorted lightly. He put his palms together, and the power that he had been accumulating burst out instantly. Thousand thunder escape! Bang! In an instant, bolts of astonishing lightning bolts were like sharp wooden stakes that pierced through the earth. They shot up in all directions and intertwined with each other on the public square. The restless power shook the heaven and earth. The profound Yang Palace's disciples turned pale with fright as their formation was thrown into chaos. All of them were blocked by the lightning pillar. What? Do all the so-called big sects like to bully others with numbers? Chu Hen sneered coldly. Get out of my way. Qin He, who was high up in the sky, shouted angrily with a gloomy face. I'll take your cheap life. Don't think about interfering. It was obvious that Qin He was really angry. His anger was rising steadily. His killing intent couldn't be suppressed. Along with it, a golden radiance gushed out from his body. Scorching air waves covered the sky and covered the earth. Qin He spread out his arms, and circles of golden light vortexes rapidly coiled around his palms like light vines. Buzz! Buzz! The restless power caused the space to tremble. Under the shocked gazes of many people below, a golden light wheel condensed in Qin He's palms. The edge of the light wheel was covered with sharp teeth. The holy light radiated like 2 golden wheels of the sun. Chapter 1065. Buzz, the extremely restless energy caused the space to tremble. Qin He opened his arms, and a dazzling light burst out from his body like the sun. Beams of golden light swirled like wings of holy light, and an astonishing, majestic true origin quickly gathered in his palms. In an instant 2 reddish-gold scorching sun wheels appeared in the sky. Looking at the 2 golden wheels, which were like 2 giant discs and were extremely sharp, everyone's faces showed a bit of fear. Everyone could feel the anger and killing intent bursting out from Qin He's body. Qin He is going to fight for real. But that guy doesn't look scared at all. Where did this guy come from? He doesn't look weak at all. A fierce battle broke out in an instant. There was no unnecessary negotiation. Jingshu was very anxious. He thought that Chu Hen had come to clear up the misunderstanding. He didn't expect that after a few words, Chu Hen would attack directly. Qin He, who had already lost face, flew into a rage. You can't change anything. When Jing Shu didn't know what to do, Su Lingzu, who was beside him, said calmly. Jing Shu was startled. Miss Su, you? Hee, that's right. Zhui Yuehan, who had also returned to the Han Yun Sek's team, said with a complacent smile, You'd better not be meddlesome. Be careful, or you'll lose your life in vain like that idiot. Humph. He really thinks that he can do whatever he wants just because he has the power of the Xian Sha Divine Thunder. Yin Shu frowned, and his face showed a bit of disgust. Su Lingzu didn't say anything more. She lifted her beautiful eyes and looked at the two young figures in front of her, who had a shocking aura. The same arrogance, the same sharpness, and the same arrogance. The real battle starts now. The brilliant, star-like holy light lit up the sky. Qin He looked down at Chu Hen coldly. Humph, you scoundrels who only know how to sneak attack. Die. Buzz, along with the surging airwaves that whistled through the world, the two golden wheels of the scorching sun directly turned into a giant wheel of wind and fire that pierced through the sky. One after the other, one from the left and one from the right, they slashed down towards Chu Hen with a rotating momentum. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly. His figure moved like a bolt of lightning. With a loud bang, the first wind-fire golden wheel hit the ground of the square like a gear. The violent impact caused the earth to crack. Cracks that were 100 meters deep extended out like a spider web. Before the crowd had the time to marvel at Qin He's strength, the second golden wheel drew a red arc along the ground the moment it hit the ground. Like a meteor that had been traveling back thousands of years, it swept up a scorching solar storm and chased after Chu Hen. Chu Hen furrowed his brows. He wanted to save Han Yichuan and Qiao Shaowan first. But Qin He was not going to let him go. Immediately, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He spread his fingers in the air. With a crisp sound, a saber shining with silver holy light appeared in Chu Hen's hand. The Tianai saber on the holy weapon ranking. Someone nearby uttered the name of the saber. Sizzle, the violent electric arcs crisscrossed rapidly and surrounded the saber. The Tianai saber immediately shone brilliantly. Holding the saber with both hands, Chu Hen swung it horizontally toward the wind-fire golden wheels that were whistling toward him. Rumble. The 3,000 volts of lightning had a monstrous aura. During the extremely short process of dragging the saber, the silver light surrounding the Tianai saber expanded rapidly and condensed rapidly in an instant. It was as if Chu Hen was holding a heaven-splitting divine saber that was 4 to 5 meters long. The light was dazzling and dazzling. Boom, as if a divine rainbow had struck the sun, the red light exploded in the sky. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, the light wheel was directly split into two and split from the middle. The wantonly surging energy was like waves and tides. With eyes blazing like torches, Chu Hen dragged the Tianai saber and rushed toward Qin He. Roar! A tiger's roar shook the heaven and earth. Suddenly, the shadow of a white saber-toothed tiger appeared behind Chu Hen, and a majestic pressure that was almost tangible pressed toward Qin He. Chu Hen brandished his saber, and a 1,000-foot saber light slashed the sky obliquely, sweeping toward Qin He like a blade of heavenly light. Hey, just in time. Qin He sneered. His palms were facing each other, and clusters of golden light gathered in front of him and spun rapidly. Like a whirlpool of fire clouds that was rapidly taking shape, a surging fireball with a diameter of 100 meters appeared in front of Qin He. Qin He pushed his arms forward, and the fireball pierced through the sky and fell like a scorching sun. Bang! The saber light and the fireball intersected, and suddenly the sky exploded. The violent energy that erupted from the explosion was like a concentrated cloud of fire. The powerful shock waves spread out in the sky, mixed with a formless and fierce energy fluctuation. Be careful of the sun-flaming hidden force. Retreat quickly. The human experts on the plaza below all retreated to avoid being caught in the crossfire. Layers of fiery clouds blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Wherever the fiery clouds reached, the sun-burning hidden force would attack. In an instant, the area within a radius of over 1,000 meters, with Chin-He as the center, was filled with a dark red glow. Humph, let's see where you can hide. Chin-He sneered disdainfully. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a purple flame suddenly rose from the sky and spread all over the place. This is? Everyone's eyelids twitched and they were shocked. Even Wu Xiao of the Han Yun sect and Song Hao of the Equal Heaven Pavilion were surprised. When the bewitching purple flames came into contact with the pure golden flames, the latter was actually directly devoured. Everyone knew how overbearing the sun-scorching hidden force of the profound Sun Palace was. It was different from a real flame. Ordinary flames only burned the outer body, while the sun-scorching hidden force hurt the internal organs. Most of the time, people were afraid of the disciples of the profound Sun Palace. However, it seemed that this strange purple flame was even more overbearing than the sun-scorching hidden force. The area covered by the golden aura was shrinking rapidly, but the purple flame was spreading faster and faster. Chin-He had attacked many times, but he still couldn't defeat Chu-Hen. Chin-He's eyes were filled with intense coldness and gloom. The best part is yet to come. Buzz! The wind blew and the clouds surged. A scorching aura that filled the heavens and the earth once again poured over the earth, and dazzling beams of light pierced through the clouds in the sky and fell down. The dazzling light made the pupils of the people below shrink to the size of a needle. Could it be again? Such a powerful energy fluctuation. It can't be wrong. It's going to happen again. The sky trembled slightly, and the light shone brightly. Tens of thousands of beams of golden light fell and gathered into a huge golden lotus. The lotus was facing down, and the bud had not bloomed yet. It was like a star, like a divine sun. The endless light was like a sharp sword energy, and everyone felt a stinging pain on their skin. Chin-He looked at Chu-Hen with an indifferent face, and a hideous smile appeared on his face. Chapter 1066. Since you're the one who let that woman go, then, now, it's your turn to bear the power of this move. A cold and indifferent voice came out of Chin-He's mouth. The sky trembled, and a dazzling light shone on the 9 heavens. Looking at the giant golden lotus that appeared in the sky once again, everyone present could not help but be moved. It was like the stars, like the sun, and even more like the blazing sun. The endless light was like countless sharp sword energies, and everyone below felt a faint prickling pain on their skin. The aurora shone down, and the sky above the huge ancient square became a blind spot. Everything in the world was shrouded in the tide-like light. Chu-Hen's figure was reduced to an outline, and it was as if he would be swallowed by the light in the next second. Han Ichuan, who was tied to the stone pillar in the square, frowned, and his pupils shrunk to the size of a needle. He turned to look at Xiao Shaowan, who was still in a daze, and could not help but feel a little anxious. "Girl, what's wrong with you? Hang in there." Xiao Shaowan lifted her head weakly and said weakly, This place, has this place? Han Ichuan was shocked and confused. What was he talking about? Buzz. Accompanied by an extremely restless and powerful aura, the giant golden lotus that was like the sun released a destructive aura that made people's hearts palpitate. At the same time, the tightly closed flower bud bloomed at a speed visible to the naked eye. One by one, the petals bloomed. Every time a petal bloomed, Chin-He's aura grew stronger. Shrouded in light, he stood proudly in the sky. He showed his intimidating divine might. Using the lotus sun descends to the world, to kill him is really a waste. In the Han Yun sex team, Zhui Yuehan laughed coldly and proudly. Jing Shu, who was beside him, frowned and retorted unhappily, You're talking as if you, Zhui Yuehan, have the ability to defeat Brother Chu-Hen. What did you say? Zhui Yuehan's face darkened. Who do you think you are? How dare you point your fingers at me? I'm just telling the truth. At least, you, Zhuiyuan, don't even have the qualifications to make Qin He display the lotus sun descending to the world. Needless to say, Jing Shu had surprised Zhuiyuan today. In the past, the other party would never have dared to talk back to him. If the people of Han Yun's sect were not around, Zhuiyuan would have given Jing Shu a slap. His gaze immediately turned cold, and he suppressed his anger as he replied, "Jungle Weed, don't think too highly of yourself. Otherwise, you'll suffer in the future." Jing Shu gritted his teeth. He naturally knew what the other party was talking about. Zhuiyuan and Su Lingzu were the official disciples of the Han Yun sect, but he was only a disciple in name. Even if he entered the Han Yun sect in the future, he would still be bullied and ostracized. Clang! All of a sudden, a deafening sound of thunder exploded in the void. All the people present were shocked. In an instant, the sky that was covered by the reddish-gold light burst out a dark blue pillar of lightning, rumble. The wind was as fast as lightning, and the sky was shaking. The wind howled angrily, and the clouds in the sky were tumbling like waves. Bolts of lightning that were as strong as thunder dragons dashed down with shocking momentum. It was like a punishment from the gods. The reddish-gold light screen was pushed back quickly. The dark blue lightning shone on the other side of the world. Chu Hen's eyes were like torches, and he looked at Qin He coldly. "I'm afraid you can't perform your moves again." Qin He looked disdainful. I'll try." As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen instantly turned into a bolt of lightning and leaped into the sky in a higher area. Clang! At the same time, giant bolts of lightning with magnificent momentum pierced through the sky. They were like a group of dragons gathering, and they gathered at one point. The wind and clouds roared, and 3,000 divine thunders moved together. Sizzle! Sizzle! The wild noise intertwined like thousands of thunder birds, spreading their wings and crying. When the horrible thunder and lightning intertwined, the light shone brightly and rapidly pierced through the sky like the Milky Way in the ninth heaven. Then, at the center of the endless power of the tribulation thunder, a piercingly cold, sharp light attacked, and a domineering trident suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. That is? Everyone's expression changed. Even Wu Xiu of the Han Yun sect, Song Hao of the Qixiao Pavilion, and the others couldn't help but narrow their eyes. The trident was crystal clear and glittering with blue light, as if it was condensed from the essence of the power of thunder and lightning. Layers of flowing black thunder patterns surrounded the body of the trident, and it swept through the sky. Chu Hen was like an ancient wizard spirit that controlled the tribulation thunder, and his whole body emitted a destructive aura. His body moved, and he directly swept to the side of the trident. He held the body of the trident with both hands, and then he swooped down, as if he was holding a lightning pillar that could support the sky, and directly attacked Qin He in front of him. The wind was as fast as lightning, and the lightning dazzled the sky. Between heaven and earth, there were streaks of lightning and thunder that bloomed. At the same time, the golden lotus behind Qin He had already bloomed its last petal, and a cold and proud smile appeared on his face. "Hee, you still can't stop me. Lotus sun descends." Wow! The radiant sun-like light immediately erupted, and a scorching aura erupted like a volcano, and a terrifying golden light pillar was released from it. At the same time, Chu Hen suddenly rushed in front of his opponent, and the trident in his hand was covered with dazzling thunder patterns. The intertwining thunder and lightning divine light seemed to be connected to the ninth heaven electric net, heavenly light. Blade! Chu Hen shouted, and traces of thunder and lightning jumped in his eyes. Heavenly light blade, thunder and lightning towering sky. Clang! Boom! Under the astonished gazes of everyone present, the lightning trident that pierced through the sky was like a beam of divine punishment descending from the heavens as it firmly collided with the huge golden lotus. The tribulation thunder and the radiant sun collided. Two destructive forces unexpectedly met at this moment. An unprecedented violent force exploded in the void like a nebula tsunami. The majestic and surging waves of air swept out in all directions with earth-shattering force. The ground of the square below cracked continuously, and the surrounding mountains were swept away. Many ancient buildings were flattened by the storm. Many human experts retreated repeatedly, and all of them frowned, and their hearts were stretched taut. Lightning arcs flew everywhere, and lightning shot in all directions. The reddish-gold firestorm spread recklessly. In the chaotic waves of air and light, everyone could only vaguely see the silhouettes of two figures in the void. This guy? He actually blocked the lotus sun descends. How can this be? He's only at the 7th level of the profound heaven realm. Shock. Absolute shock. Even Wu Xiao and Song Hao couldn't help but frown. At this moment they felt very pressured. The power of the lotus sun descends was so strong, but Chu Hen actually met it head-on, and he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage at all. How strong was this divine light blade? Back at Mount Kunliu, before leaving the victorious East State, Chu Hen learned one of the two martial arts related to the power of thunder and lightning from the scroll left behind by Li Wushang. One was the Thousand Thunder Escape, and the other was the Divine Light Blade. When these two martial arts were used together with the mysterious killer Divine Lightning, the power that erupted was also astonishing. Before everyone could recover from the shock, the sky that was filled with chaotic power suddenly blossomed with a dazzling divine radiance. Star Soul. 7 critical strike. What? Everyone's heart suddenly trembled. Buzz! The space shook, and in an instant, a solid silver pillar of light pierced through the sky. Like a shocking rainbow, it retreated from the hands of the figure above, and heavily hit the figure below. Bang! An incomparably loud sound reverberated in the sky. The silver pillar of light was like the Milky Way, directly striking the figure down. The unparalleled power fell like a falling star. Everyone's expression changed drastically, and their eyes widened. Oh my God! It's Qin He! Chapter 1067. Oh my God, it's Qin He! How is this possible? An incomparably heavy and violent vibration broke out in the sky. Under the shocked gazes of everyone present, the silver light beam that pierced through the sky hit Qin He's body like the Milky Way. Bang! A powerful and majestic aura swept across the sky. Qin He was directly hit by the solid light beam in the void. The unshakable force oppressed him like a mountain. Qin He almost had to bear all of the force. The golden-red protective true essence covering his body suddenly shattered into pieces. Qin He's face changed dramatically. He tried to escape from the pressure of this shock wave. However, the force that came down on him made him unable to move. Boom! In the next moment, the dazzling starlight pillar bombarded Qin He like a shocking rainbow, and he fell on the ancient square below. The earth exploded, the heavenly stars shattered, the mountains collapsed, and the earth cracked. The powerful silver light beam pierced into the square like a divine sword, and a violent shock wave instantly broke out from it. The huge pit was like the abyssal mouth of a giant beast, rapidly expanding. Countless deep cracks extended to the surroundings. Fragments of rocks were blown up, along with the powerful chi waves, splashing in all directions. The Taoist platforms on the square collapsed one after another. The stone pillars erected on the highest Taoist platform also collapsed and shattered one after another. Han Ichuan's eyes turned cold, and a vigorous aura burst out from his body. Bang! The iron chain that wrapped around his body immediately broke into several pieces. Then, Han Ichuan quickly flashed to the side of Qiao Shaowan. He stretched out one hand and clasped the iron chain on her body like an eagle's claw, and pulled it back. Ding! The chain on Qiao Shaowan's body was once again untied. Han Ichuan supported Qiao Shaowan's waist with both hands, and his feet moved in the air, immediately leaping to the side of Chu Hen in the void. "I'm sorry, I've caused you trouble again," Han Ichuan said apologetically. Chu Hen shook his head. "I'm the one who should say sorry. We can't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly." As far as Han Ichuan was concerned, Although Chu Hen had defeated Qin He, there was still Wu Xiu of Han Yun's sect and Song Hao of Qixiao Pavilion. If they stayed here, they would be the ones to suffer losses in the end. However, as soon as he finished speaking, two hurried whooshing sounds came flying over. Two swift and fierce young figures directly blocked the path of Chu Hen and the other two. What a surprising fellow! However, if you want to leave just like that, aren't you looking down on us a little too much? Even Heaven Pavilion's Song Hao raised his right hand, and a string of demonic red light intertwined and flowed in front of his arm, immediately condensing into a sharp curved bloody blade. Han Yun's sect's Wu Xiu smiled faintly. Of course, we still have to thank you. We have long since found this arrogant fellow an eyesore. Looking at the two high-spirited people in front of him, Chu Hen was expressionless. I'm afraid the two of you can't stop me. Song Hao and Wu Xiu glanced at each other. The former sneered, Hee, why don't you give it a try? Senior brother Song Hao. Senior brother Wu Xiu. At this moment, Han Yun's sects and even Heaven Pavilion's disciples all cried out in confusion. At the same time, the human experts present were also in a state of chaos. Rumble. The collapse of the ancient plaza below did not stop. Layer after layer of buildings collapsed. Starting from the huge pit that had just sunk, it was like a layer of mud that had been broken by the undercurrent of the Yellow River. The huge plaza was collapsing from the center at a speed visible to the naked eye. The pit in the middle was getting bigger and bigger, and its range was expanding rapidly. It was like a giant beast from the abyss that was devouring the earth. In the blink of an eye, the entire plaza disappeared completely. However, the collapse of the earth continued. The ancient buildings that had existed for a long time collapsed one after another and disappeared. Even the precipitous peaks and cliffs sank into the ground one after another. Very quickly, the originally huge sky platform became a huge ravine in the blink of an eye. Just when the crowd did not know what had happened, the sky above the 9 heavens was suddenly filled with black fog. Waves of strong and dark aura came from the huge ravine below. The cold wave of air was like a cold current from the netherworld. Everyone's expression changed, and many of them revealed nervous expressions. Qiao Shaowan curled up in Han Yichuan's arms. Her small face was slightly pale, and her tone was filled with anxiety. Good, strong, evil aura, evil aura. Rumble. Immediately after, the earth continued to shake. Waves of dark and evil aura gushed out from the ravine below and shot up into the sky. Everyone's heart surged with a trace of a bad premonition. There seemed to be a strange, ethereal, dreamy rhythm spreading between heaven and earth. It was like the evil laughter of a demon dancing. Accompanied by the rumbling sound of the earth quaking, clouds of black fog rose up. Within the black fog, there were giant stone statues. Looking at these stone statues rising from the ground, the expressions of everyone present changed greatly. Even Wu Xiu's and Song Hao's pupils shrank slightly. Each stone statue was hundreds of feet tall. They had ferocious faces, and their appearance was terrifying. They had ferocious faces, fangs, claws, and dragon scales. They were like Azura demons from hell. Some had wings on their backs, holding tridents in their hands, and roaring at the sky. Some were prostrating on the ground, stretching out their sharp arms, and looking at the demonic dragons in the sky. There were also lizardmen with lizard heads, human bodies, and giant tails. Strange. Ferocious. Even more ferocious. There were a total of 24 stone statues. These are all demons. Someone in the crowd cried out in alarm. Everyone furrowed their brows. Demons. Demons. They were the representatives of slaughter. Synonymous with evil. Wait, 24. Are these the 24 blood demon guards under the command of Yama King? What? Yama King? Hearing these 3 words, everyone's expression changed again and again. Thousands of years ago, a 3-way war broke out in the Immortal and Devil Tomb. The human clan lost more than a dozen experts, and the demon clan's Yama King and a demon clan's great emperor fell here. Now, the 24 blood demons under the command of Yama King had reappeared here. Did this mean that this place might be the place where Yama King was buried? The sky darkened and the sky changed color. Looking at the ferocious stone statues, everyone's heart trembled, and a chill ran down their spines. They felt that they were not statues but living creatures. "Look, Chin, he is over there," a human expert shouted. Chapter 1068. Heaven and earth changed, and the sky darkened. The fierce battle between Chu Hen and Chin, he seemed to have triggered a mysterious ancient restriction that had been silent for thousands of years. The earth caved in. It was as if a sleeping giant beast had awakened, devouring the square, buildings, mountains, and rivers. The mountains collapsed, and the earth cracked. The huge, ancient square sank into the ground in the blink of an eye. Even the surrounding mountains and rock walls seemed to have fallen into the quicksand of the Yellow River. Just when everyone was stunned, something even more shocking happened. Giant stone statues that were more than 100 zhang tall rose from the deep ravines like bamboo shoots after the rain, ice-cold, brutal, and murderous. All kinds of negative and chilly auras surged out like a tide. Looking at those ferocious and horrifying stone statues, everyone felt their hearts tremble, and a chill ran down their spines. It was as if they had arrived at the limitless hell. "These are the 24 blood demon guards under the limitless king," a voice filled with shock spread through the crowd. Everyone's expression changed again and again. Limitless king, these 3 words were as frightening as a plague. "Look, Chin, he is there." Suddenly, someone cried out in alarm. Everyone's gazes immediately focused on a single point. They saw a miserable figure covered in blood hanging on the back of a stone statue, on the brink of death. From afar. It was a ferocious demon with the appearance of a saber-toothed dragon. It had 4 claws like a dragon, and its whole body was covered with dense scales. Chin He's aura was weak as he lay next to a saber-tooth on the back of the stone statue. His blood flowed along the grooves on the stone statue and slowly spread out from afar. The scarlet blood patterns looked like ancient runes that were faintly flowing. It was unknown if it was because his injuries were too severe, but Chin He looked very thin and weak at this moment. It gave people an extremely uncomfortable feeling, as if he had lost a large amount of life force and blood essence. "Senior brother Chin He, we're coming." The disciples of the profound Sun Palace didn't hesitate too much. They stepped on the air and flew toward Chin He's location. Chin He's eyelids opened slightly. His dim pupils revealed a trace of helplessness and desire. He looked at his companions flying towards him. His lips moved slightly as if he wanted to say something, but his voice was very soft and pitiful. Just as they were about to reach Chin He, an extremely restless aura suddenly permeated the air. It was as if an evil force that had been dormant for 1,000 years had suddenly awakened. The ravine, which was already filled with surging waves of air, was now filled with raging astral winds that swept in all directions. Buzz! The space around them trembled violently, and a dazzling dark red radiance suddenly burst out in front of the profound Yang Palace disciples. Caught off guard, the few people's expressions changed. Before he could react, a violent force surged toward him. Bang, 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 the few of them were hit by the heavy force, causing their blood to churn. They spat out mouthfuls of blood one after another. Then, heaven and earth trembled, and the wind howled. Streaks of eye-catching red light patterns blossomed on the stone statue. Kacha! The huge pillar beneath the stone statue seemed to have been struck by a powerful force and instantly cracked into countless pieces. What was even more shocking was that the surface of the stone statue was actually covered in dense cracks and fine lines. What? Everyone present was greatly alarmed. Their faces were filled with bewilderment and shock. It can't be coming back to life, right? What nonsense are you talking about? It has been dead for thousands of years, and has long rotted into a pile of bones. How can it be resurrected? Woo! In the next second, an extremely ear-piercing whistle reverberated in the huge ravine. Under the disbelieving gazes of the hundreds of human experts present, the ferocious stone statue with the appearance of a saber-toothed evil dragon actually slowly stood up, its sturdy dragon arm rose into the sky, and a blood-red light beam blossomed from the cracks on the surface of the stone wall. At this moment it was as if the whole world was trembling. Those who offend His Highness Sin Luo, die. Its momentum was earth-shattering, like thunder. In the sky above the ninth heaven, the lightning tribulation interweaved. Under everyone's widened gazes, the stone wall covering the stone statue's surface fell piece by piece. Pieces of dense black scales were exposed in the air. Its body, which was 100 zhang tall, rose to the sky. The monstrous demon Qi that had been silent for thousands of years erupted like a tsunami. Profound Yang Palace's Qin, he was directly sent flying. A few Profound Yang Palace's disciples hurriedly went forward to help, but they were also bombarded by the fierce power into a mountain wall in the area behind them. Rocks collapsed, and the power that smashed into them directly destroyed half of the mountain wall. The ferocious Qi wreaked havoc in the world. The 100 zhang tall demonic body displayed a world-shaking momentum. It really came back to life? Oh my God! What the hell is going on? Uneasiness and shock surged in everyone's hearts. All the human experts tightly grasped the weapons in their hands, and their expressions were incomparably grave. Don't panic. Han Yun-sek's Wu Xiu didn't lose the demeanor of a powerful force at this moment. Although he was quite shocked, he wasn't at a loss. He shouted loudly. This should have triggered some kind of restriction of the demon race, which caused them to temporarily come back to life. But it's definitely not the blood demon guards from back then. Let's not panic. That's right. Heaven Gathering Pavilion's song How also echoed loudly. It's just a mere blood demon guard, what's there to be afraid of? It had to be said that Wu Xiu and Song How were like a pill that calmed everyone's mind. That's right, with the two of them here, we don't have to worry at all. Who cares if it's a blood demon that has come back to life? Let's kill it again. Attack. The human experts who had calmed their minds didn't say anything else. One after another, they burst forth with powerful true origin energy and charged towards the evil dragon blood demon. Evil creature, die. Continue to be sealed underground. Zeng. Buzz. Dazzling true origin energy beams pierced through the sky like divine rainbows and clouds, directly blasting towards the 100 zhang tall giant demon. Hee. The demonic demon's eyes turned cold, and like a crocodile staring at its prey, it straightened up into thin sheets. It was extremely indifferent and emotionless, so cold that there was no emotion in it at all. Facing the fierce attack that covered the sky and covered the earth, its huge body burst forth with a dazzling bloody light. Then, it opened its huge mouth that was filled with fangs. Bang! The space trembled, and a powerful bloody red light beam shot out from its mouth. The impact wave formed by the piercingly cold bloody light beam was like a giant sword that pierced through the void. The attacks that were charging towards it were directly smashed into pieces. The human experts in the center didn't even have the chance to scream before they were blasted into a bloody mist in an instant. What a terrifying power! On the other side, Chu Hen's pupils shrank slightly, and his face was solemn. Then, the evil dragon blood demon swept its huge tail across the sky like a chain sweeping across the river. Bang, bang, bang! The human experts felt as if they were hit by a mountain. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying. Retreat. The injured people didn't dare to continue fighting, and they hurriedly retreated. However, in the next second, a sharp giant claw that was covered in black scales directly reached over. A black shadow covered the top of their heads, and the giant claw was like a huge net, directly grabbing the few people firmly in its palm. Damn it! The few people were extremely frightened, and they struggled with all their might. Hee, along with an incomparably sharp cold laugh, the evil dragon blood demon extended its giant claw, which was grabbing the few human experts, to the top of another stone statue of a merman with a pair of wings on its back. Bang! Several heavy muffled sounds were stacked together, and miserable screams stopped abruptly. Then, like a fountain, blood directly sprayed out from the evil dragon blood demon's palm. In an instant they were crushed into a pile of minced meat. How cruel! Such a method sent chills down people's spines. The scarlet blood then dyed the other stone statue below it red. The blood spread, and lines of bloody patterns lit up, like ancient secret talismans. The surface of the stone statue quietly cracked open, and the cracks spread all over its body. Streaks of bloody light shot out from the cracks. Chapter 1069. Bang! The blood-curdling screech came to an abrupt end in an instant. Warm scarlet blood spurted out from the palm of the dragon blood devil like a fountain, and directly sprinkled on the other ferocious devil stone statue below. Everyone's facial expression changed drastically. Such a cruel method sent chills down their spines. They trembled in fear. Then, something even more terrifying happened. Blood spread across the surface of the stone statue like vines from hell. It was as if ancient runes had been awakened. Along with the cracks that opened up, rays of blood-red light shot out from them. Another wave of ferocious demonic aura spread in all directions. It shook violently and engulfed the entire valley once again. Ha! Woo! The sky and earth were filled with demonic screams. 2 of the 24 blood demon guards had been resurrected in an instant. Everyone's heart was filled with shock and unease. What about the other 22? Once they were all awakened, the consequences would be unimaginable. Don't just stand there. Let's attack together and stop them. Hurry up. Don't wait for the other blood demons to be resurrected. Although everyone was shocked, they couldn't back down now. No one knew if the other stone statues would be resurrected. They didn't know what the consequences would be. The only thing they could do now was to stop the situation from worsening. Swish. Wu Xiu of the Han Yun sect didn't say anything. He flew out like a sharp arrow. His eyes turned cold and his aura surged. He put his palms together and clasped his fingers together. He shouted, "Cloud Pagoda, buzz buzz!" The 9 heavens trembled. Wind and thunder rolled. A majestic aura like that of a mountain descended from the sky. A black shadow covered the sky. An ancient pagoda emitting a transcendent aura broke through the clouds. It pierced through the blue dome of heaven and directly pressed down on the evil dragon blood devil below. Bang! The sky and earth suddenly lost their color. A powerful cyclone surged in the sky. The dragon blood demon's huge body shook violently, and its head, which was raised high, was pressed down hard. Although its aura was weakened, it couldn't move an inch. It was still arrogant and furious. It lifted the huge pagoda and roared at the sky. Woo! His ferocious aura shook the heavens. The black scales on his body were tightly connected, and a dense blood-red radiance erupted from his body. Kacha, the suppressive speed of the pagoda in the clouds was immediately halted, and deep cracks extended from the bottom to the top of the pagoda. Wu Xiu's brows furrowed tightly as he tried his best to stabilize the cloud tower. Song Hao, I don't need you to remind me. Along with the slightly dissatisfied counterattack, white afterimages flashed in the air. The afterimage leaped and flashed like a ghost. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, in the blink of an eye, Song Hao had already arrived in front of the evil dragon blood devil without anyone noticing. Song Hao raised the sharp arm blade in his hand and revealed a sinister smile as he looked at the 1,000-feet-tall giant demon that was pinned down by the cloud pagoda. Continue to sleep. Evil spawn of the devil race. Weeping ghost blade. Whoosh. A resonant and sharp light whistled through the air as Song Hao raised his hand and suddenly stabbed forward. In an instant, a blood-red beam of light from the blade of the sword was like a divine rainbow that pierced through the sky, and it showed the power of destruction. The evil dragon blood devil's thin pupils flashed with a cold light. Bang! With a dull sound, the blood-red sword light beam pierced through the center of the evil dragon blood devil's chest like the Aurora greatsword that Song Hao had thrust out of his hand. A piercingly cold wave of air gushed out from the evil dragon blood devil's back, which was covered in sharp teeth. Broken scales and dark red blood spurted out. Good job! As expected of the elites of the Han Yun sect and the heaven-condensing pavilion. Well done. Wu Xiao and Song Hao's cooperation could be said to be perfect. The success of the two's attacks immediately boosted the confidence of the human expert. Rumble! However, just when everyone was excited, the half-man, half-fish merman blood devil had already burst out with a majestic demonic aura. All the stone fragments that covered its body exploded and shattered. Different from the evil dragon blood devil, the merman blood devil's body was pure white and silver. Its scales all over its body shone, and it exuded a cool aura. Screech! The ugly big fish opened its head and let out a shrill scream. The invisible sharp sound wave continuously attacked everyone's eardrums, causing them to feel dizzy. Then, the earth shook, the mountains shook, and the torrent roared. A monstrous tsunami waterfall came from the back of that mermaid blood devil without any warning. What? Everyone's expression changed. Before they could do anything, the surging waterfall was like a raging sea that broke through a dam. It swept all the way down like a tide of thousands of ferocious beasts, and smashed the human experts in front of it into a mess. The violent waterfall was ferocious, and it could be said to be able to topple mountains and overturn seas. Even Wu Xiao and Song Hao could only choose to retreat. The two of them immediately broke away from the battle with the evil dragon blood devil, and each turned into a beam of light. Boom! Almost at the same time, the giant tower in the clouds that was suppressing the evil dragon blood devil exploded into thousands of pieces. Roar! The evil dragon blood devil leaped up, and once again stood upright with a shocking aura. Everyone's expression changed again and again. It still didn't die? Wu Xiao and Song Hao looked at each other, and they could not help but frown. That attack just now had definitely hit its vitals. Even if it did not die instantly, it would definitely not be able to get up. However, that was not the case. Isn't the demon clan's vitality too terrifying? Han Ichuan, who had retreated from the battle, could not help but shake his head and sigh. Then, he turned to Chu Hen and said, "It's better for us to leave while these people don't have time to care about us." The corner of Chu Hen's eyes slightly narrowed. His gaze was fixed on the fierce and chaotic battle in front of him, as well as the over 20 ferocious and domineering stone statues. After a short moment of contemplation, he said, "You guys leave first." Why? Han Ichuan did not understand. Now is the best time to leave. Do you still want to care about these people's lives? Chu Hen shook his head. There should be other secrets here. I'll stay a little longer and see if I can find any clues about Meng Cheng's whereabouts. This was already the center of the Immortal and Devil Tomb. If the spatial devouring tunnel in the Xian Sha Shao region was connected to the Immortal and Devil Tomb, it was very likely to be in this area. Although the current situation was extremely chaotic, Chu Hen was not willing to let go of even the slightest possibility. I understand. You must be careful. Han Ichuan nodded, and immediately retreated with Qiao Shaowan. They were not afraid of trouble, but they both knew that in this situation, they would only be a burden to Chu Hen. Rumble! The flood swept past, and the formation of the human experts was immediately thrown into disarray. Everyone's expression was incomparably grave. Just 2 blood demon guards were enough to make them flustered. It was hard to imagine just how terrifying the 24 blood demons were at their peak. Kiki. Before everyone could calm down, the dragon blood demon stretched out its long and sharp limbs and climbed onto another stone statue like a giant lizard. It was a stone statue in the shape of a ferocious tiger. Its body was cold, and it emitted a formless murderous aura. What was it trying to do? Everyone's hearts were in their throats. Then, everyone's pupils shrank. The evil dragon blood demon actually tore open the wound on its chest. Dark red blood flowed out like a small stream filled with plague virus, dripping down and flowing down. It quietly spread across the stone statue. Chapter 1070. What? Looking at the scene before them, all the experts present turned deathly pale. The dragon blood devil stretched its 4 long and sharp limbs. It was like a giant lizard crawling on a stone statue in the shape of a ferocious tiger. The scythe-like claws directly tore open the wound on his chest. The dark red blood was like a spring full of plague and poison. It dripped down and slowly blossomed on the stone statue below it. The space shook and the sky shook. Everyone's mind trembled at the same time. Gotcha cracks began to spread on the surface of the ferocious tiger statue. The demonic red light patterns glowed with a dazzling light. The dragon blood devil lifted its head and looked at Wu Xiu, Song Hao, and the others in front of it. The corners of its mouth curled up, revealing a devilish smile. Buzz, a terrifying murderous aura emanated from the ferocious tiger statue. Along with the falling pieces of the stone wall, an extremely strong murderous aura surged. Then, the dragon blood devil pushed its limbs and leaped into the air. Boom! In an instant, a thick blood-red pillar of light shot into the clouds. The wind howled and the clouds churned. Waves of energy swept across the sky. A deafening tiger roar reverberated, a majestic wave of energy spread in all directions. Under the endless murderous aura, a giant demon shrouded in white demonic flames appeared before everyone's eyes. The demon tiger was covered in a thick armor. The armor was extremely domineering. It looked as though it had grown out of its body. Its dark green, emotionless eyes slowly opened. It had 6 eyes. It was an evil white tiger with 6 eyes. At this moment, even Wu Xiu and Song Hao could no longer remain calm. Wu Xiu's eyes widened as he muttered in a deep voice, "This is the White Star Tiger Devil." The Han Yun sect's disciples behind him trembled when they heard the words White Star Tiger Devil. Among the 24 blood devil guards under the Yama King, the White Star Tiger Devil was the most bloodthirsty. It was the epitome of killing and ruthlessness. It was extremely merciless and cruel. Wherever the White Star Tiger Devil went, people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Blood would flow like a river. Roar! The loud roar seemed to announce the start of the massacre. Without any hesitation, the White Star Tiger Demon leaped into the air. With a bang, the large stone block beneath him was instantly crushed to pieces. Everyone's face changed, the surging baleful chi assaulted them. The White Star ferocious tiger's entire body was enveloped in a powerful and vast white flame aura. Its speed was extremely fast, its attack was ferocious. It was comparable to a meteorite flying through the atmosphere, crashing into them head-on. Bang, bang, bang. Although everyone immediately dodged to the sides, there were still a few figures who were a step too slow and were blasted into a bloody mist. Damn it! Wu Xiu's eyes darkened and he quickly shouted, "We can't let them go on like this. Cover me! The rest of you are responsible for restraining the other 2 blood demons." Song Hao immediately responded, "All right." After all, with Wu Xiu and Song Hao at the front, the group of experts did not reach the point of retreat. Wu Xiu's aura surged, and a majestic aura surged toward the White Star Tiger Demon. "Evil creature, don't be presumptuous." Heaven's meteorite hand, the surging true origin energy surged toward the White Star Tiger Demon like a tidal wave. Wu Xiu's arms moved like a willow, then he reached out with his right palm. Buzz! In that instant, a fiery red hand made of magma appeared out of thin air. The giant hand covered the sky, and like a demon-suppressing hand, it headed toward the White Star Tiger Demon's head. Roar! The White Star Tiger Demon, who did not retreat, let out an earth-shattering roar. It raised its giant claws and directly slapped the giant magma hand that was crushing toward it. When the two collided, a red whirlpool-like storm of energy erupted. Layers of energy surged out. The space shook and airwaves filled the sky. The ferocious wind caused Wu Xiu to retreat dozens of meters. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, Song Hao, who was waiting for an opportunity, secretly activated the assassination stealth ability. A few blurry phantoms appeared in the air. Accompanied by the rapid whistling of the wind, Song Hao instantly appeared in front of the White Star Tiger Demon's head. Die! Song Hao's eyes flashed with a ruthless red light. The armed saber in his hand glowed with an unprecedented cold light. With the lesson learned from the evil dragon blood demon, Song Hao would not underestimate his enemy this time. What he needed to do was to stab the White Star Tiger Demon's head with the bloody armed saber in his hand. Buzz! However, just as Song Hao was about to swing his saber, the White Star Tiger Demon's 6 eyes emitted a strange green light. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immediately after, 4 of its eyes shot out condensed green light beams. The light beams were like arrows, and they attacked with a piercing, killing intent. Humph! Song Hao's pupils shrank. He was about to defend himself when he realized the 4 light beams flew past his shoulders, head, and legs. They did not hit his body directly. Missed? No. They sealed off his escape route. 4 beams of light directly sealed off Song Hao's next step of evading. A strong sense of unease immediately rose in his heart. Whoosh! The space trembled continuously. Another 2 green light beams tore through the air. They were as cold as swords and as sharp as rays of light. They were extremely destructive. Song Hao's expression changed drastically. In a hurry, he swung the bloody armed saber. However, the bloody armed saber could only block 1 light beam. The moment the 2 light beams collided, True Yuan exploded and stacked together. The last light beam pierced through Song Hao's chest. Boom! Everyone's expression changed drastically. The disciples of the Heaven Condensing Pavilion were even more shocked. Senior brother Song Hao, however, Song Hao did not die after being pierced by the light beam. He flipped a few times and retreated like a swallow returning to its nest. Song Hao covered his chest with one hand. Then, he took out a round bronze mirror from his robe. The bronze mirror shone with a dim light. There was a hole the size of a finger in the middle. It's the heart protection mirror. That scared me to death. The people of the Heaven Condensing Pavilion heaved a sigh of relief. Wu Xiu's brows relaxed slightly. He said in a deep voice, "It seems like the heart protection mirror blocked most of the damage. However, you were too careless." Humph! Song Hao's expression darkened. He put away the damaged heart protection mirror. Now is not the time to say such things. We might all die here today. Whoosh! At the same time, the other human experts and the mermaid blood demon and the dragon blood demon were engaged in a chaotic battle. The mermaid blood demon was like a powerful tide spirit. It constantly controlled all kinds of water element energy to attack. Rumble! Water flowed like water. Pillars of water shot up into the sky. The shockwaves were like raging dragons. The dragon blood demon clashed with the human expert's True Yuan, creating huge wave. The dragon blood demon took the opportunity to kill. Under the cover of the mermaid blood demon, it charged into the crowd and started a crazy killing spree. However, the human experts were not just a bunch of random people. After withstanding the pressure, they slowly stabilized the situation. Hurry up. As long as we kill 1 blood demon, we will win. Wu Xiu and Song Hao held back the White Star Tiger Demon as they urged the others. We are giving it our all. The others gritted their teeth. With their advantage in numbers, they forcefully separated the Mermaid Blood Demon and the Dragon Blood Demon. The Dragon Blood Demon was injured by Song Hao earlier. Under the combined attacks of the human experts, its body was already covered in wounds. Even so, the other party did not seem to feel pain. It did not dodge or evade. It faced them head-on, trading injuries for lives. It was cruel, cold, and evil. Roar! Suddenly, the White Star Tiger Demon exploded with a ferocious aura. The wind blew, and the White Star Tiger Demon's 6 eyes turned cold. It opened its mouth, and balls of white flame gathered in its mouth like a nebula. Shocking powers clashed and spread. The powerful demonic aura caused the surrounding space to twist and shake. Wu Xiu and Song Hao frowned. Without saying a word, they hurriedly used all their true yuan to defend. However, right after that, the White Star Tiger Demon turned around and targeted the group of human experts surrounding the Dragon Blood Demon. What? The two were shocked. This guy's target is not us. Song Hao's face turned pale. He shouted, "You! Retreat! Retreat!" As he spoke, the air trembled violently. The White Star Demonic Tiger suddenly spat out a ball of white flames that was dozens of meters wide. Swoosh! Like a falling star, it smashed into the crowd like an energy cannonball. Boom! The moment the white flame energy ball fell into the crowd, it exploded in the sky. In an instant, an extremely violent nebula astral wind exploded. Waves of chi soared into the sky. A series of screams overlapped. Blood rained and minced meat flew everywhere. Dozens of human experts were killed in an instant. Hee. The Dragon Blood Demon roared into the sky. Its thin eyes were filled with disdain. The faces of the other human experts turned pale. None of the sect's disciples who came to the tomb of the immortal and devil were weak. Dozens of genius experts were killed in an instant. It was shocking and infuriating. However, the most terrifying thing was yet to come. Scarlet blood rained down from the sky, splattering on the other blood demon stone statues below. The fresh blood dripped onto the stone statue, and like a web, the blood slowly spread out, forming dark and mysterious ancient runes and spells. A murderous aura that had been dormant for a long time was awakened. A series of dazzling cracks slowly appeared on the surface of the wall. The Sunluo King's 24 Blood Demon Guards. Chapter 1071. The violent energy was like a nebula vortex that instantly exploded. Heaven and earth trembled, and the sky shook. A murderous aura filled the air. The attack of the White Star Tiger Demon instantly turned dozens of human experts into dust. A scarlet rain of blood rained down from the sky, splashing onto the other blood demon statues. Waves of murderous energy that had been dormant for a long time quietly awakened. Dazzling cracks slowly appeared on the surface of the stone statues. Looking at the stone statues that glowed with blood patterns, it was like the activation of an ancient restriction rune. Deep uneasiness and fear quickly surged in everyone's hearts. The sky changed color, and dark clouds surged. It was a sign that a shocking chaos was about to arrive. Looks like the Yama King's 24 Blood Demon Guards are going to reappear in the world. At this moment, on a mountain a dozen miles to the southeast, a few silhouettes emitting powerful demonic chi were watching the changes in the deep valley in front of them from afar. These people were none other than the Red Dragon Demon Venerable and the Blood Bat Demon Venerable, who had led the demon beasts to fight the humans in the Great Valley. The Red Dragon Demon Venerable was more than 3 meters tall, and his body was surrounded by a scorching red light. His thick eyebrows and sharp eyes were filled with a fierce and domineering aura. The Blood Bat Demon Venerable was shrouded in a black robe. His skin was extremely white, and a few dark elemental bats flew around him like guards. Not far away, a peerlessly beautiful figure was quietly watching the chaotic situation before her. Even though she was wearing a mask on her face, it still couldn't hide her innate beauty. She was not a demon beast. However, even when she stood next to the Red Dragon Demon Venerable and the Blood Bat Demon Venerable, she still shone like a bright pearl. This should be the Demon Clan's Shaman Soul technique. The Red Dragon Demon Venerable said in a low voice. Yes. The Blood Bat Demon Venerable nodded slightly. The Shaman Soul technique is a blood sacrifice secret technique of the Demon Clan. As long as the demon soul is not destroyed, it can be awakened again. Scarlet Dragon Demon Venerable nodded. What a group of loyal fellows. They have been dead for so many years, yet they are still guarding this place. Hee. The Blood Bat Demon Venerable sneered and replied disdainfully, instead of calling it loyal, it's more appropriate to call it pitiful. Let alone the fact that the devil's soul has been imprisoned here for thousands of years, it can't even settle down after death. If that's not pitiful, what is it? However, the blood bat demon Venerable paused for a moment, then continued. The 24 demon blood guards were infamous existences in the past. It's a pleasant surprise to be able to witness their rare ferocity again today. Although their strength is greatly reduced compared to back then, the shaman soul technique was indeed powerful. Blood sacrifices could be used to revive the souls of the blood demon guards, but after their resurrection, their cultivation would be far from the peak they had when they were alive. Even so, the fearsome name of the 24 demon blood guards still caused people to be afraid. It is indeed a pleasant surprise. The scarlet dragon demon Venerable said indifferently, "At least we don't have to personally deal with those annoying flies, especially at a time like this." With that, the red dragon demon Venerable subconsciously turned to look at the area behind him. The land there was shrouded in a chaotic black fog. It was like a black sandstorm that lasted for a long time. It was unpredictable, mysterious, deep, and gloomy. The bloodbat demon Venerable also looked at the area behind him and muttered softly, "It seems like it has stabilized. It was just a false alarm. What's the reason? Have you found it?" An indifferent voice was heard. The bloodbat demon Venerable and the red dragon demon Venerable looked at the elegant figure. Although the two of them were prominent demon beasts with noble bloodlines, they were exceptionally polite to the human lady in front of them. "We haven't figured out the exact reason yet. Demon Venerable Yen Luo and the seven-headed demon Venerable have been guarding there, so there shouldn't be too much of a problem," the red dragon demon Venerable replied. The lady nodded slightly, her clear eyes rippling behind the mask. She continued, "The energy wave that was released earlier was not weak. If it didn't trigger some kind of restriction, it would be difficult to produce such a degree of rhythm. It's better to be more cautious." The two demon venerables looked at each other and could read the seriousness in each other's eyes. The bloodbat demon Venerable nodded solemnly. "Thank you for your reminder, Lady Bai. Once we're done here, we'll immediately return to guard the demon god's tomb." The lady did not say anything else and looked in the direction they came from. Buzz, buzz. The huge ravine sank into the ground like a bottomless abyss. Under the blood rain, waves of majestic ferocious aura were brewing like lava in a volcano. What awaited them would be earth-shattering tremors. Hee. The malevolent dragon blood demon laughed ferociously like a demon from hell. The mermaid blood demon and the white star tiger demon also emitted a thick ferocious aura. They looked at the people in front of them with a mocking and disdainful attitude. Panic quickly spread in everyone's hearts. Even Wu Xiu from the Han Yun sect and Song Hao from the Qixiao pavilion revealed a look of fear that they had never seen before. Just the 3 demon blood guards were already enough to make them flustered. Once all 24 blood demons were awakened, the 200 to 300 human experts here would probably die here. Roar! Woo! Crimson light surged and dark clouds surged. It was as if a group of demons were dancing. Amidst the roars that shook all directions, the surface of the stone statues quickly cracked open one after another, accompanied by the sputtering of mysterious light patterns. Bang, bang, bang! Gravel exploded, air waves surged, and devil chi soared into the sky. Several ferocious and evil behemoths suddenly rose into the sky, bursting out with a powerful crushing aura. "Those who offend Prince Sen Luo die. Die!" Their voices were deafening like thunder. The giant figures were like mountains, and the awakened blood demons were like ancient giants standing in front of everyone. Each of them emitted an endless murderous aura. Everyone's expression changed again and again. At a glance, there was a giant blood demon with 3 heads, a monster with a lion's body and a snake's belly, and a tree demon that looked like an ancient tree. The thick, ferocious aura instantly crushed the entire place. "Let's go." The human experts finally did not dare to show off their abilities. They quickly retreated before all 24 blood demon guards were awakened. "Retreat!" Wu Xiu immediately turned around and gave the order to the Han Yun sect disciples. Song Hao also hurriedly led his companions to leave. The situation was too chaotic. They had underestimated the changes in the immortal and devil tomb. Wu Xiu and Song Hao could no longer control the current situation. Hee, since you are all here, then don't leave. At this time, a crystal-clear blood demon that looked like an ice crystal dragon spoke mockingly. Everyone's heart suddenly trembled. In an instant, surging waves of cold air rushed over like a tide. A few overlapping sounds intertwined together, and an extremely cold and dense qi swept out in all directions. Sun Luo, extreme cold storm, extreme cold storm. Boom! Whoosh! Ice and snow roared, and the temperature suddenly dropped to the freezing point. The cold ice vortex spread out like a nebula vortex, covering the sky and the earth. Crack! As if the space was about to freeze and crack, a thick layer of ice began to spread to the surrounding mountains and valleys. Snowflakes swirled, and the world was frozen. Under the impact of the ice roar, the human experts were wrapped in a thick layer of ice. Many human experts were directly frozen into ice sculptures. When the cold wind blew, the ice sculptures, along with their bodies, suddenly burst into pieces. Chapter 1072. Sun Luo, Extreme Cold Storm. A cold and mocking voice reverberated in the sky above the abyss like a clap of thunder. In that instant, the ice and snow roared, and the temperature in the world suddenly dropped to freezing point. The ground was covered in ice, and the cold cyclone was like a nebula whirlpool that rapidly expanded in all directions, covering the sky and earth. Thick layers of ice quickly extended and covered the surrounding mountains and valleys, snow drifted in the world, and frost dyed the world. Under the roar of the ice, many human experts were instantly frozen, and they were directly frozen into crystal-clear ice sculptures. A cold wind blew past, and with a "kacha," crisp cracking sound, the ice sculptures instantly shattered into thousands of pieces. Shock, fear, panic, everyone's expression changed drastically. No one dared to stay here for long, but the bone-piercing cold current was like a demon invading their bodies. Not only did their true essence circulate extremely slowly, but even their blood felt like it was about to freeze. Everyone's movement speed was greatly reduced, and the White Star Tiger Devil, the Dragon Blood Devil, the Merfolk Blood Devil, and other ferocious killing demons chased after them like the Grim Reaper. Kiki, stay here and become Prince Sun Luo's slaves. The Dragon Blood Devil waved its sharp claws, and like a large net that was cast toward a school of fish, it closed its fingers and instantly crushed the bodies of the few people. The Merfolk Blood Devil held a scepter in its hand, and it was like a sea spirit that controlled the tides. The fish opened its mouth, and it let out a sharp whistle. Then, a majestic jet of water shot out from its mouth. The water pillar was extremely fast, and it was extremely fierce. As it moved, the water pillar spun rapidly, and the cold air in the world gathered around it. The water pillar immediately turned into a sharp ice pillar. The ice pillar pierced through the air like a sharp sword. It forcefully entered the crowd, and its long body fell straight down. Along with a series of panic screams, the human experts were once again scattered, and there were casualties everywhere. Damn it! Han Yunsek's Wu Xiu was shocked and anxious. He looked at the other stone statues that were glowing with dazzling blood patterns. Once all the blood devils were awakened, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the current situation, just the few blood devils that they were facing right now were enough to kill all of them. Extreme cold storm. It's actually the power of Sun Luo on the peak of a mountain in the distance. The red dragon demon Venerable's eyes were deep as he murmured in surprise. The blood bat demon Venerable was also surprised. Isn't this the power controlled by the Yama King? How can they use it? The red dragon demon Venerable shook his head. I don't know much about the demon race. Then, he turned to look at the masked woman on the other side. I wonder if Miss Bai knows the reason? She nodded slightly and spat out 4 words in an indifferent tone. 4 souls, 4 soul spirits. The two demon venerables were stunned. They looked at each other and were even more confused. The woman continued to say, "Back then, the Sun Luo King used his extraordinary ability to refine the 4 soul spirits with his own energy and gave them to the 24 blood devil guards under him. With the power of the 4 soul spirits, he could unleash the Sun Luo energy, I see." After listening to the other party's explanation, the two demon venerables immediately understood. The Red Dragon Demon Venerable said, "If that's the case, I'm afraid the disciples of the righteous sects will have to stay here today, heh." The Blood Bat Demon Venerable smiled coldly. "That's good. At least we don't have to do it ourselves." Roar! Demonic chi filled the sky and blood dyed the sky red. The Blood Devil Guards did not give the experts a chance to retreat. They charged forward and started a crazy massacre. One by one, the Blood Devil Guards woke up from their slumber. The ferocious beasts revealed their bloodthirsty expressions. Under such circumstances, even Wu Xiu, Song Hao, and the others did not dare to fight. Other than retreating, they had no intention of fighting. "Let's go!" Retreat. The disciples of the Han Yun sect and the Qi Shao Pavilion followed closely behind them and left at top speed. As for the others, they ran away as fast as they could. TSK, do you think you can run away? A chilling aura swept over as the ice crystal flood dragon blood demon soared through the air. Wherever it went, white cyclones danced wildly. It swooped down at a speed that was several times faster than human experts and pounced toward the Han Yun sect's team at the front. Oh no! Jingshu, Su Lingzu, and Zhui Yuehan, who were at the back of the team, turned pale. "Senior brother Wu Xiu, save me!" Zhui Yuehan shouted hurriedly. Wu Xiu frowned. He hesitated for a moment, but he had no intention of turning back. Under such circumstances, everyone would take care of themselves. Roar! At the same time, the ice crystal dragon swooped down above them. It opened its mouth and a white flame condensed in its mouth. The white flame was bone-chilling and emitted a terrifying power that could freeze everything. Whoosh! In the next moment, the ice crystal dragon lifted its head and the dragon's breath turned into a huge ball of white ice flame and blasted toward the Han Yun sect's people. A strong destructive power surged. The people behind the Han Yun sect's people narrowed their eyes. The bone-chilling cold invaded them, and the blood in their bodies seemed to have stagnated. Right at this moment, bang! An extremely heavy and earth-shattering sound rang out, and a white and purple chi wave storm suddenly exploded in the void. The white ice flame was stopped less than 20 meters away from Jingshu, Su Lingzu, and the others. The chaotic air blast swept across the area. The Han Yun sect's people were stunned again. In the midst of the chaotic air blast, a slender young man's figure gradually became clear and appeared in everyone's sight. "It's Brother Chu Hen." Jingshu's eyes lit up and he was the first to exclaim, "It's Chu Hen?" Su Lingzu's eyes trembled and she subconsciously clenched her fists. The Han Yun sect's people were surprised. No one had expected that the person who would save them at this time would be Chu Hen, but soon, the crowd realized that the person that the other party wanted to save was likely only Jingshu. Chu Hen's body was surrounded by purple light and his eyes were like stars. He was not afraid of the ice crystal dragon and the blood demon. TSK, a guy who is not to be trifled with. The ice crystal dragon looked at Chu Hen condescendingly. There was a hint of mockery in its vertical pupils. The words, "a guy who is not to be trifled with," shocked the other human experts. After all, even Wu Xiu and Song Hao did not receive such an evaluation from the Demon Blood Guard. "Which sect is this young man from?" the Red Dragon Demon Venerable asked in surprise on a mountain in the distance. The Blood Bat Demon Venerable touched his chin with interest. "Haha, interesting. However, he won't live for long. The other Demon Blood Guards are about to wake up." The speaker did not mean it, but the listener was listening. The mysterious woman, not far away, did not participate in the conversation between the two demon venerables. She only looked at the chaotic area in front of her quietly. There was a faint ripple in her clear eyes behind the mask. Roar! Woo! Wave after wave of demonic aura rose into the sky. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the 24 demon blood guards had woken up. The entire area was shrouded in dark clouds. Ferocious giant demons were like ancient creatures that crawled out of hell. They smashed the shackles and cages and rushed into the crowd to kill. The number of human experts was decreasing. From the original 300, more than half of them had been killed. Although there were many human experts nearby who heard the news and rushed over to help, they immediately turned around and ran when they saw the situation in front of them. TSK, you won't be able to save anyone. The ice crystal dragon blood demon looked at Chu Hen disdainfully. Then, a majestic aura exploded and filled the air. Sun Luo rumble. The earth shook and the mountains and rivers changed. Even the space was shaking. Rows of ice pillars that pierced through the clouds condensed in the air.